Wait, unmute. Hello, hello, hello. Can we hear? Am I muted? Okay. Sweet. Alrighty. I cannot see if anybody is in the chat, but if somebody is here, where is that actually? Where can I find the chat? I'd love to see what the people are saying. Oh, I'm excited. This is awesome. Okie doke. Now, I'm going to be very transparent. This has been a bitch to set up, but we are here now. It is working, and this should be pretty cool. I'm very excited. Okie doke. I'm going to try and pull up the chat here on my phone. Joey, try to find this because I can't find it. And for now, I will begin my introduction. So for those of you who are tuned in today, this will be my first ever live workshop masterclass. I have kind of always wanted to do this ever since I went to college. I was homeschooled, but whenever I went to college, I got the itch whenever I was younger to do some form of teaching and instructing and some form of leading, to become something of a thought leader, which is why I'm here today. You know, I've learned a lot in the past 5 or so years of my life doing this whole clothing brand thing, and now I am here to, you know, kind of share what I have learned with all of you guys, because I had to figure all of this out the hard way. I had to beat my head against a wall for 5 years and work for a bunch of other brands and get a ton of experience in all different fields to learn this, but I'd like for you guys to be able to bypass that. So yeah, I think it looks like our chat is working now. So welcome everybody. It is really, really cool to see some engagement with you guys. How many people are in here? Out of curiosity, I'm curious to see how many people I'm speaking to. Oh, there's over 1,000 people in here. Wow, that is unexpected. That's awesome. Well, I'm super honored to be here and to be speaking with you guys. By the end of this masterclass, which is free again, and I can't believe I'm doing this for free. This is something that my team was a little bit like, why are we doing this for free again? Because there is so much value here. But by the end of this, you guys will be so well equipped to step into building your brand, scaling your brand, fixing problems within your brand in order to make you fit to capitalize off of this fourth quarter. And you guys, this will probably be the best segment of information and value that you guys will ever get for free on the internet. I've made lots and lots of YouTube videos and stuff, and a lot of you guys have seen those videos, but today is something a little bit more special. I wanted to get a little bit interactive with you guys and speak more kind of like hands-on, one-on-one, answer questions. We'll do a Q&A as part of this section, or as a section of day 1, and I believe we'll have a Q&A on day 2 as well. So again, to reiterate, this is a 3-day workshop. All 3 days are free. They are all at 2 o'clock Pacific Standard Time in the afternoon. And each day we'll be covering different material. And it's going to be really, really important that you guys show up to all 3 days, as the material is divided into 3 days. So you're not going to get everything today. You're going to get a lot of things today, a lot of things tomorrow, and a lot of different things on day 3. So it's really, really important that you guys show up to all 3 days to maximize the value of this experience. That is my goal here, is to help you guys learn as much as humanly possible. So yes, this is the Q4 blueprint. Today we're going to be covering brand identity, design, and manufacturing mastery. All right, so let's just talk a little bit about Q4 in general, right? I just threw that term out there, Q4, quarter 4. What is Q4? What is quarter 4? As you guys know, the year is divided into 4 quarters, all right? You got Q1, Q2, Q3, and Q4, all right? But nobody in e-commerce or business or entrepreneurship talks about Q1, Q2, or Q3, right? So fourth quarter is not just another quarter, all right? October, November, December, this is when clothing brands make or break their entire year, all right? We're talking about 40 to 60% of a brand's entire yearly revenue occurring in these 3 months. Okay, we've got Black Friday, we've got holiday shopping, we've got Halloween, we've got Cyber Monday, we've got end of year shopping, we've got end of year sales, we've got Christmas sales, we have everything, all right? And kind of just business, e-commerce, brick and mortar, everything is kind of engineered for this part of the year to get you to want to buy, right? We've got the beginning of fall. We've got the beginning of winter, all right? Which means, oh my gosh, we need to buy jackets. We need to buy pants. We need to buy stuff for snow trips. We need to buy stuff for vacation. We need to buy stuff for our relatives. We need to buy gifts. We need to buy things for ourselves because naturally we're in the mood to buy. So why not just buy something for ourselves, right? I say all these things to stress that Black Friday is when everybody spends their money, essentially, all right? Because, we've got summer, people are having fun, people are going on vacations. We've got, spring, people are, spending a little bit of money around that time. But winter is where we don't go on vacations, right? We buy things because things are what makes us happy and gets us through our seasonal depression, right? Obviously not, but consumerism will tell you otherwise. So what you will gain from this event, I want to go over that real quick. By the end of the next 3 days, you will be walking away with the complete Q4 blueprint that took my brand from 0 to 7 figures. I want you guys, oh shit. Yeah, we probably should post this on the story. This is pretty cool. I've never spoken in front of 1,000 people before, so I'm gonna do a quick little post here. Oh, this is sick. But to kind of get back into what I was saying, I want to basically prepare you guys to dominate the biggest quarter of the year because I'm going to do so. I've been preparing all year for Q4, and I want you guys to do so alongside me. Basically, the way I learned about Q4 and the way I learned that this was so important to acknowledge is in 2023, the beginning of the year, I worked for a company called Young LA. I did some creative consulting for them. They wanted to pivot from gym wear to streetwear, and for me, they brought me in essentially to pull references and give a little bit of consulting on that and on how to make that pivot. So I got to work really, really hands-on with them and how they operate. And I remember specifically a few items that I brought in that I wanted to reference. They were like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna go ahead and place a purchase order for these." And they were like, "Oh yeah," and they threw out this crazy number. And I looked at them and I was like, "What the fuck? Why are we buying that much?" And they're like, "Oh, it's Q4." And I was like, "So?" And they're like, "Oh, we typically do 4x in Q4, what we do in every other quarter, right?" So I'm just saying all this to frame the importance of taking advantage of this time of the year, which is why we're doing this now before Q4 so that you guys can take advantage of it and capitalize on this opportunity, because I'm certainly doing so. I missed it in 2022. I missed it again in 2023. I capitalized on it in 2024, and that's what blew my brand up to where it is. So I will be doubling down on it this year in 2025. So who is this for? Let's go over who this is for. This is for the aspiring brand owner who's been stuck in planning mode. And this is also for any of you who already have, a few thousand customers, a few thousand dollars in revenue, but maybe you've plateaued because, you're not up to date on systems. You're not up to date on methods. Maybe you've washed a specific SKU that you've been working with and kind of like washing out. Who knows, right? There could be a million reasons why you've plateaued, but we are here to fix that, okay? So let's talk about the 3-day blueprint to dominate Q4. So day 1 is going to be going over brand identity, design, and manufacturing. All right, so these are going to be primarily the foundational pillars. We're going to talk about how to build premium brand foundations that demand attention. We're going to talk about supplier outreach. I'm going to go over scripts. I'm going to do a live demonstration on how to find a supplier and how to speak to a supplier, questions to ask, stuff like that. We're going to have scripts, MOQs. We're going to go over samples, negotiation tactics, credit leverage, etc. And then on day 2, we're going to be getting into content, marketing, and art direction. All right, and I would argue that this is going to be probably the most important day 2, because this is where most people screw up. Day 1 is a lot of mechanics, semantics, beginner stuff, foundational stuff. Granted, we are going to get into some material today that so many brand owners that are even doing like 20, 30K a month still don't have down because they don't know how to. And I'm going to teach you guys that today. And again, day one is just as important as day two, but day two is where we get really in depth. All right. So we're going to go over creative hacks that all the big brands use to position themselves for guaranteed community appeal. We're going to get into how to deploy art direction strategies that set you apart from your competition. We're going to get into how to unlock psychological triggers that curate brand obsession. And then we're going to talk about how to scale concept frameworks for predictable revenue growth. All right. So day three is going to be super important. We're going to be going over teams, systems, and scaling. So we're going to be talking about softwares. We're going to be talking about toolkits, all kind of stuff. So I'll be going over a full breakdown of my team and the framework that I use to build my team that got me here today. We're going to be talking about my full software toolkit that I use to run my business and stay ahead, because at the end of the day, systems are necessary even in a creative business like a clothing brand. And we're also going to go into an in-depth investment strategy for aggressive scaling and brands looking to dominate their market. Right. And this is really important, especially for you guys who already kind of have your foot in the door and already kind of have a few sales, a few drops under your belt, and maybe you're just looking to scale. And I've seen a lot of you guys on TikTok lately, because I've been seeing the industry's kind of waking up a little bit. Right. And there's people getting sales. I've seen 2 or 3 kids just this week kind of pop out of nowhere and have like a great first drop. Day 3 is going to be specifically important for you guys who already have, kind of had a little bit of success. That's just when we'll dig into scaling specifically. So these 3 days could potentially be like the most important in terms of preparation and educating you to get to a point where you can really capitalize on this whole clothing brand thing. All right. Because at the end of the day, guys, there is no school, there is no university for clothing brands. There's no good YouTubers. I like to think I'm the only one. There's a couple of other good YouTubers, but whenever I was learning this stuff, it was just straight trial and error. All right. And that shit hurt. That hurt. I lost $30,000 in the month of September of 2023. I lost another around 20 in January of 2024, and I lost like around $50,000 to $60,000 before I got into this whole thing and started actually making money, because I didn't know all of this, because I had to learn all this without a cool online workshop, for free, right? There wasn't even courses I could buy. So yeah, I was just kind of dead in the water, and I don't want you guys to have to go through the same shit that I went through. So I'm going to, kind of just take a step of leadership here and try to put as many people on as I can, which is why we're doing this. So to get into who I am, a lot of you guys are a little bit familiar with who I am, but for those of you who are not as familiar, I'm Marshall. All right, not here to waste your time with some surface level bullshit. Okay, we are here to educate. I'm here to help. I'm not gonna talk about all this mindset shit. I'm not gonna try and fugazi and psychologically we're here to learn. All right, you guys are here to learn. So I hope you guys came with a notepad and a pencil to take notes. I hope you guys are in a quiet room away from a bunch of people. I hope you guys are ready to fucking learn. All right, so 3 years ago, I was borrowing my roommate's car. My roommate, Joey, he had a Toyota Corolla, and I was borrowing his car because I couldn't afford one of my own, all right? I had no car. I got a bike after I had one good drop with my clothing brand, and I got that bike for like $6,000. Or $8,000. It's still sitting right there, actually. But yeah, I was driving my roommate's car for free. He was kind enough to let me use it. And yeah, that was back whenever I had really no connections. I had no clue how to start. I had very little experience with this whole clothing thing. I didn't know what I was doing. I knew I wanted to do it, and I knew I wanted to tackle it, and I knew I was capable of figuring it out, but I didn't know shit. All right. And fast forward this year, obviously, I have my own studio now. Pretty much bought almost all my dream cars. I've got one still in the tank. Looking to make that happen in about 2 weeks. But that's beside the point. All that materialistic bullshit, that's just it doesn't mean anything. It's bullshit. All right. What means something is that I've gotten to do crazy things with my brand. I've gotten to do campaigns with 20 people on crew, and then like 15 plus models. I've gotten to like fly people across the country to be a part of my stuff. I've gotten like influencers involved and people that I looked up to involved. I threw a party this last week, and I think like 150 people came, and it was a private party, which is so insane to me. I've never done that before, never thrown a party, but yeah, we're doing Complex Con this year, building out a booth there. We're doing New York Fashion Week next year, and also Paris Fashion Week. We're doing a bunch of crazy shit, all right, and it's awesome, and it is so fulfilling, and I wake up every single day excited to make some new shit. I wake up every day just excited to do my creative briefs and plan out these photo shoots and source talent and pull references, and it's honestly been one of the coolest things I've ever done. I don't know. It's amazing. So I want to talk about the secret behind success. All right. And there's 3 things that separate the brands that blow up and actually see success, that separate them from the ones that just kind of die off. Maybe they have like a little spark here, and then it fizzles off and they die. You know the brands I'm talking about. You've seen them. All right. And it's not a big personal brand. That's not the big key. All right. It's not having the best designs, and it's not having the most money. All right. These 3 things, like, independently will not save your brand. They will not make you successful, and they are not what creates a successful brand. But by the end of the day, you're going to know exactly what 90% of failed brands never figure out. And what I mentioned earlier about the brands that are kind of doing well, not having this down, this is what I'm talking about. So this is very, very, very important. Today's lesson specifically for so many of you. I mean, I'm telling you right now, I've talked to people who have had brands for like 3 or 4 years about this, and I tell them about this, and they're like, holy shit, like I've never even considered this. Like, this opens up a whole new door for me, all right? And this is all stuff that I just kind of figured out, and not to toot my own horn or anything, but it's actually really, really sick. And after you hear it, it's gonna really get the wheels turning for you, and it's gonna help you get into the right kind of like thought process to reach kind of like, answers, right? To reach kind of like the answers to the questions that have been in your mind, whether you know what those questions are or not. They are there, and they're keeping you from moving forward. And hopefully today's lesson can really kind of break some barriers for you and help you to move forward. All right, so let's talk about why most clothing brands fail. All right, 80 to 90% of clothing brands will fail within their first 5 years. I would argue that's a very safe number. I'd argue most fail between year 1 and year 2. I think most clothing brands will, some of them have a good drop, but like if they do have a good drop, most of the ones that do have a good drop only have 1. All right, because they're missing the steps that we cover in day 2 and day 3, and also day 1. So, and it's not because they can't find manufacturers or make good designs. We already covered that. They fail because they skip the foundation completely. They skip day 1. They skip what we're here to talk about today. All right. And most of the time, the problem is just becoming overwhelmed and confused and just acting blindly. All right. There is no plan. There is no kind of like set SOP. There's nothing that kind of like for you to like, there's no direction essentially because you're confused. There's nobody to tell you what to do, to tell you how to do it. All right. You've probably been watching YouTube tutorials for months, buying courses, scrolling through conflicting advice, and whenever you have everybody telling you to do a bunch of different things, it gets really confusing, and it's really easy to just be overwhelmed by too much information and misinformation at that, and then just kind of like screw up because you don't know who to believe, who to trust, what to do, right? Oh, well, like this freelance brand scaler said I should run ads, and this guy over here said that I should, pay Selena Gomez $100,000 for an ad, and that's going to blow up my brand. And this guy, you know what I'm saying? It's a bunch of people telling you a bunch of bullshit. All right. And at the end of the day, most of them have no idea what the fuck they're talking about because most of them have never done it. All right. Most people have never actually gone through the nitty gritty shit to build a brand that's going to last 10 years. All right. It's easy to make a product. It's easy to, hit up an influencer and get an influencer, your product to an influencer. It's easy to do those little things, but the nitty-gritty shit that sets you apart from everybody and makes something feel special, right? Makes something feel like unique and exclusive and like and really like an outlier within the industry. That's what we're gonna find here. That's why we're gonna find here. That's why this specifically today is a really, really important day. All right, so let's talk about the three fundamental foundations of success. All right, number one is going to be a clear brand identity. All right, one that people actually connect with. And for those of you who are unaware of what identity is, we're going to get into that, but essentially it is who you are. All right, what do you look like? What do you smell like? What do you sound like? All right, what kind of people are engaged with you? What are you associated with? All right, it's the DNA. It's the like the brain of your brand. All right, it's whatever about your brand makes you unique and makes you who you are, just like people. All right. So the next one is going to be an effective design process. If you do not have an effective design process, you will kind of just like never really even get to the part where you sell a product. You'll forever just be making ass products because you're going about it the wrong way. And I've seen so many people go about it the wrong way. Like most people go about it the wrong way. I went about it the wrong way for about 6 months before I actually figured it out and got the ball rolling. And it's crazy because nobody fucking tells you how to figure it out. Nobody tells you like the method for design. And people there's a few different methods, but nobody tells you the ones that like all the big brands are using, all the brands that are like operating at like a pretty decent pace are using, which is crazy. I don't know if they're like gatekeeping it or like if, I don't know, people just don't know what they're talking about or whatever. Regardless, nobody fucking talks about it. We're going to talk about that. We're going to go over that because I would say it's a fundamental. And then obviously the final one's going to be strong manufacturing relationships and basically being well equipped to navigate these kind of like negotiations and, like sample all the pre-production. All right. When I say pre-production, I mean all the work that goes in before bulk production, right? You guys know that we have kind of like, your sampling process and everything, and then we have bulk production, and then we sell, and then we ship, right? So all of this stuff that we're going to talk about, the work that goes in before you place your bulk, right? Because a lot of you guys aren't even aware of like what work needs to go in before then. You guys are like a lot of you guys from what I've seen are dead ass just like going and saying like, oh, well, like this manufacturer has this pair of shorts. I'm going to buy like 500 of them. Here's my logo, right? There's no pre-production process. And a pre-production process is what's going to save you from losing a shit ton of money. All right. And I've watched so many people skip all of this, skip these 3 steps, and then they place a bulk order, and then they have 250 hoodies in their closet that they couldn't sell because they skipped all this shit. And maybe they paid $5K for that bulk, right? But the $5K is not going to make them any money, and now they're down $5K because they skipped all these steps before trying to sell the hoodie. All right, and I don't want that for you guys. I've been there, I've done that, and it fucking sucks. It fucking sucks whenever you like think like, oh, well, I'm supposed to just get this fucking this bulk order and then sell them, right? Like I'll just post it up on IG and maybe people will buy it, and like then nobody buys it, and you're like, all right, well now I'm stuck with a bunch of hoodies that I can't sell. It sucks. Been there. So we're going to talk about the cost of skipping foundations, which I kind of skipped ahead a second ago. But basically the cost is you build on quicksand. All right. You don't have anything solid to stand on. You don't have confidence and conviction in what you're getting into. And that becomes an issue as soon as you do that first drop and you don't see the results that you expect. And it fucking sucks. All right. And it literally feels like you're in quicksand because you feel like you have nothing to fall back on. You feel like you have no creative direction, art direction, or kind of like identity, or even just like, there's nobody to even blame but yourself. Right? And that sucks. That really, really sucks. All right. Everything becomes harder. The marketing doesn't work. Customers don't stick around. Suppliers don't respect you. And that's a big one. That's a really, really big one. A lot of you guys aren't getting respect from suppliers, which is why your turnaround, your lead time for even responses is really slow, which is why you've placed a sample like, 6 weeks ago and still haven't got it back. All right. You need to make your manufacturers respect you so that they will actually like do good, efficient work for you. But that's like, we'll get into that later on. So, and yeah, you're constantly putting out fires instead of actually growing your brand. All right. When you're putting out fires, you don't have time to get ahead. All right. It's like boxing, right? You guys have seen boxing, like, boxing has, 2-minute rounds, right? And in between those rounds, you have like your 30-second breaks and shit, right? You have fight and then break, right? And the point of that is so that you can go and make an advancement, pull back, make an assessment, and then make changes to make sure that your next efforts are better, right? But whenever you skip foundations, you don't get a 30-second rest, all right? You just staying in the ring, getting your ass pummeled, just getting straight like dogged without any like room to step back and say, okay, what's going on? What do we do? What's wrong? What can I fix? What can I change to make this better? To make sure we go in and our efforts actually mean something next time. So yeah, basically that's the cost of skipping the foundations, right? So what is the real need? All right, the real need is identity, community, and self-expression. Sorry, I can't fucking speak. The world doesn't need another clothing brand. I want you guys to tell that to yourselves. All right, the world doesn't need another brand to sell a shirt. All right, if we want a shirt, we can go to H&M, we can go to Zara, we can go to fucking the mall, PacSun, whatever, get a shirt for like $35, right? And boom, we have a shirt. All right, so why does the world need another clothing brand? It doesn't. It doesn't need another clothing brand. What it needs is identity, it needs community, it needs support, and it needs real meaning, all right? It needs self-expression. It needs something other than the actual physical product, all right? The world doesn't need another fucking t-shirt. It needs something that adds to the world, all right? There's a kind of like a 3-step process called Ikigai, if you guys want to look that up later. But basically, the first question is, does the world need this product? All right, and I actually highly encourage you guys later on after this to go look that up. It's a really, really good thought process to kind of go through. But basically, when I figured out my identity, community, and self-expression with Tamed Psychotic, that's pretty much when everything changed for me. And we were no longer selling clothes to try and put shirts on people's backs. We started selling, basically, we started building a world, right? And you guys know me, I love storytelling. I love world building. And whenever I really figured this out, I learned that building a brand isn't about building a room with racks of clothes for people to go and buy from. It's about building a world that people want to be a part of. Maybe the clothes are one part of that reason, or one reason to be a part of it. Maybe it's the feeling that they get. Maybe it's the community that they get. Maybe it's a feeling of not being, maybe it's a feeling like they're not alone in something, all right? There could be a million different perks to being a part of your world, but essentially you want to create a world and then you want to sell tickets to that world, right? Like Disneyland or Universal Studios or Six Flags, all right? They have created a world that people want to go and be a part of, go and interact with, all right? But the catch is that you have to pay for tickets to go to that. It's not free, all right? Now, what's your ticket? Your ticket to get into your world is going to be the clothing, all right? That's at the end of the day, that is the meta, all right? And a lot of e-com gurus and fucking TikTok shop will be like, oh, no, you just need to find a winning product and, put it on Amazon, blah, 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 blah. I don't care about fucking selling rubber duckies on Amazon, okay? I care about making meaningful shit that lasts a long time, that impacts people in a positive way, all right, that I'm going to be able to make an exit from 10 years down the line for multiple millions of dollars, okay? That's what I care about. I don't want to just hop from product to product to product, store to store to store. I want to build something that gets huge and is impactful, that I care about, that I wake up every day and I just love it, all right? And I love who it is, and I love talking about it, all right? That's what I want to build. And this is required to build that. And anybody who tells you otherwise doesn't know what the fuck they're talking about. All right, and I'll stand on that. So basically, what do you gain from the foundations? All right, let's break down exactly how to build those foundations and how, and basically I just want to give you the clarity to kind of cut through all the confusion and stuff, all right? I want you guys to stop feeling overwhelmed. I want you guys to start taking real action, and I want you to turn your creative vision into something that pays your bills and fulfills your life, all right? That is very, very important. I want you guys to be fulfilled. This isn't a money glitch. I'm not advertising clothing brands as being a money glitch. Yes, there is money to be made, okay? But at the end of the day, the reason I have my brand is because it's fulfilling as shit. I love it. It makes me happy every day. It makes me happy knowing that I am building something that helps people, that gives people a home, that gives people meaning, that gives people strength, that gives people something that makes them feel good about what they are creating. All right. So let's get into the brand identity foundations. All right. I love brand identity because it's what I'm best at. It's what I'm really good at. And it's my moat. It's my personal moat. And whenever I say moat, I mean basically exactly what a moat is, right? When you have a castle back in the day, you'd have a body of water surrounding the castle to protect it. You'd have a drawbridge going from land over the water to the castle. All right. And basically what a moat is it is a mechanism to protect you from your competition, to keep you away from your competition, all right? And what I feel one of my moats is brand identity, right? Because I have it's so tangible and real, and you feel it, right? Whenever you go to my page and you go to my brand's page and you scroll and you see the media and you see the clothing and you see the editorial and you see the photo shoots, you see the models, everything feels cohesive. It feels tangible. It feels like a world, like a specific energy and like a specific environment that you want to step into, all right? And I'm going to basically just go deep into how to figure that out for yourself and how to build your own world, questions to ask yourself, the steps to take. So this is going to be very, very important for all 1,300 of you in here. I want you guys taking notes because this is important as fuck. All right. So we're going to start with building identity. And the biggest challenge I had when figuring out why people were going, were going to come buy from me instead of all the other brands was basically just like figuring out like what was the reason, right? What was my unique selling point? Like, why were people going to come and buy from me instead of Zara, right? And that's the biggest question, all right? Like I said, clothing is easy to get your hands on. If I need a shirt and I go buy a shirt just because I need to put a shirt on to go in public, I'm not going online to a clothing brand. I'm going to fucking Zara, all right? If my reasoning for that is simply because I need a tangible shirt to put on my body, I'm going to Zara, okay? So we don't want people to go to Zara. We don't want to give these big companies more money, more of what they already have, all right? Fuck those big companies. We, as a small brand, need to figure out how to kind of sneak our way into people's lives and sneak our way into what people care about so that people are buying those clothes, but they're not going to Zara because they have a better place. And that better place is your brand. It's my brand. It's everybody who's on here watching's brand. Okay, so we are going to go through my 3-question identity framework, and this is something I actually made up, and it's a process that I like to claim for my own, but I'm making it public because I think this is just really valuable to a lot of you guys. All right, so it's 3 questions. All right, number 1, who do you want to sell to? All right, what kind of person would you like to sell your product to? What do they look like? What do they sound like? Where do they live? What city do they live in? What country do they live in? What language do they speak? What do they care about? What are the things that they have in their house every day? What kind of clothing are they wearing? What are their interests? All right, I want you to turn into a CIA agent, into an FBI agent, and break down all the little things about that person that you were trying to sell to. All right, and you need to write all this stuff down. You need to create a character archetype, essentially, right? An ICP, right? An ideal customer profile. That is going to help you to kind of create a real tangible picture of who you are selling to. All right, and that's going to help us step into question 2, which is what products do I want to sell to those people? So what products do I want to make to sell to those people, the people that we specified in question number 1, all right? And to answer question number 2, we're going to both reference question number 1 and reference what we like, okay? So you want to figure out who do you want to sell to first, because that's going to give you a more niched array of products. It's going to narrow you down from fucking ballerina costumes and Halloween costumes and boots and slippers and like a million other products to maybe just boots, leather jackets, leather belts, spurs, chains, cowboy hats, right? Like you see the difference. Now you have a much more niche array of products to choose from. All right. So for example, if I'm trying to sell skaters, I probably wouldn't make maxi dresses, right? Because skaters don't want maxi dresses. They want canvas pants. They want twill pants. They want baggy t-shirts. They want, snapbacks, right? That's what they want. They want fitteds. You know what I'm saying? So basically that second question is going to really help you to understand, okay, I'm selling these products to these people. Now, this third question is the hardest question to answer, and it is the golden ticket fucking question, all right? You need to answer questions 1 and 2 first, all right? Who do I want to sell to? What products do I want to make to sell to those people? And the third question is, why are these people going to buy my products instead of someone else's products, all right? Why are these people going to buy these products from me instead of the guy next to me, the brand next to me, Zara, all right? And that's the ultimate question right there. That is the ultimate question, and it can take you 3 months to answer that. It could take you 30 minutes to answer that. It could take you 2 years to answer that, all right? For me, I didn't even know this was a question I needed to ask myself for the first year. But the simple fact of knowing that question exists when walking into this is going to prepare you more than I was ever prepared, all right? So once you have the answer to this question, you're pretty much unstoppable, because now you have your identity, right? With the answers to all 3 of these questions, you are great, all right? So I'm going to show you guys how I'm used this 3-question identity framework to build my brand, all right? So let's talk about Tamed Psychotic's identity development, all right? So everybody here, we know who this guy over here is. That's Virgil. That's the OG kind of like luxury streetwear inspiration. He's essentially the founding father of streetwear, and he would talk a lot about DNA. All right, so let's talk about the roots of my identity. All right, so number 1, my mom's battle. A lot of you guys may have seen my video that I posted a couple days ago talking about my mother's death, and whenever, like, me being adopted. So yeah, I was adopted at 5. To rehash that, I was adopted at 5. My mother passed at 17, and my mom was an amazing person that I really respect and care for and love and appreciate, and I want to be like her. And yeah, so whenever she died, I devoted my life to doing what she did, all right? And before I was adopted, several years before I was adopted, my mom went through breast cancer and chemotherapy, right? And for those of you who haven't watched Breaking Bad and maybe don't have experience with chemotherapy, it's terrible. It's like one of the worst things that a human can endure. It is one of the scariest treatments. A lot of the patients just quit because it's so bad and it's so painful and it's so rigorous. But my mom didn't. My mom was the GOAT. She did not quit, and she got through it because she was strong as fuck. She wasn't built like you and me. She's built like Thor or like Superman or like Thanos. Like she was a dog. So anyway, so after she beat cancer through chemotherapy, she adopted me, which is crazy because I was a lunatic. I had something called reactive attachment disorder, and reactive attachment disorder is basically means that I am a super angry child that can't connect with anyone and can't bond with anyone. That's who I was, and she chose me. She adopted me, yeah, she raised me, and it was a very difficult experience. Very difficult. She had to do a lot of things that were uncomfortable for both me and her, and a lot of things I didn't understand in the moment. But but I say all that to say that before she passed, whenever I was 17, she wrote a book called My Chemo Cocktail and Me. And basically, this book was essentially to support cancer patients who were undergoing chemotherapy because it's really fucking hard, right? And she had been through that. So she felt it was her duty to create something that helped those people to get through that, right? To get through the difficult thing that they were going through with their life, right? So she fought through something really hard, wanted to create something to help others do the same. She wanted to create what she wished she had when she needed it, all right? She needed this whenever she was going through chemotherapy, but she had to just do without it, right? So when she passed, I decided to devote my life to doing the same thing, all right? And that's why I created Tamed Psychotic, okay? I went through something really difficult, and I know I'm not the only one going through difficult shit. You guys probably aware of what I went through. And again, yeah, I'm not the only one going through difficult things. I know everybody has their own battles, and I know that a lot of people feel alone in those battles, and I don't want people to feel alone. All right. So Tamed Psychotic is far more than just a clothing brand. It is a home and a community for broken people who had it difficult and feel discouraged. Maybe they were dealt a shitty hand in their life, like me. All right. And my mom taught me that your circumstances don't determine your outcome. Right? And that you can fight through the pain and build something that helps others do the same, just like I did. All right? I got here today in spite of the difficulties and hardships that I experienced, and I want to inspire other people to do that. I want to make other people feel like they're not alone in that journey, in that battle, because a lot of people do. All right, so, and that became Tamed Psychotic's identity, all right? A home for people who refuse to stay broken and are fighting to become something better, all right? And once I committed to that authentic identity, people weren't just buying clothes anymore. They were buying into a real story that resonated with them and that they felt like they were connected to, that made them feel like they were less alone, right? So yeah, let's talk about the core of our brand's growth, all right? So customers, they keep coming back. They tell their friends about it. They wear the clothes with pride because they're proud to be a part of something that benefits their life. And they feel like they're part of something bigger than just a clothing brand. And that right there, that is really, 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 really important to acknowledge, because if your clothing brand is only a clothing brand, then you're cooked. You're fucking cooked. If you're only a clothing brand, you're essentially trying to compete with Zara and H&M and Nike and Adidas, and these guys have multi-million-dollar marketing budgets. Do you have a multi-million-dollar marketing budget? Fuck no. So you are cooked. You are cooked. So you need your brand to feel like something bigger than just a clothing brand. All right? Now, I'm going to teach you the process to develop your own identity in addition to those 3 questions, all right? Those 3 questions are really, really important, but this is an alternative additional system that can help you to answer those questions, all right? So we're gonna talk about the reference system, okay? Everything comes from something, all right? There is nothing new under the sun. If you are creative at all, you know this. You know that if you create something, you are inspired to create that thing, and inspiration doesn't come from nothing, all right? The chicken came before the egg. All right, nothing under the sun is new. I gotta blow my nose real quick. Sorry about that, guys. Got a little stuffy. But anyways, yeah. So nothing under the sun is new, and you need reference points. All the big brands, all the big designers, they were huge on reference points. Okay, I am huge on reference points. 30% of my day is spent collecting reference points, whether that's watching movies, collecting pictures, collecting videos, collecting consuming kind of media, right, that could inspire me to create something or do something, right? So everything comes from something. New ideas don't come from nowhere. All right, there's a reason inspiration is used commonly in the creative space, right? Everybody that's creative was inspired by something, and there is no escaping that. There is no escaping that. The most creative people that you know, the most accomplished people that you know, were all inspired by somebody before them, something before them, a combination of things that came before what they created came to be. All right. So number 1, verbal references. Verbal references. These are words, right? So you're going to start with 3 words that describe what you want from your brand, all right? So for me, it was like chaotic, American, badass, right? And then you're going to use ChatGPT, AI, whatever, your brain. I use it as a tool to assist my creativity, but back in the day, I didn't. I just fucking thought off the dome, right? But basically, you're going to put those words in, and you're going to ask it to spit out 100 words that come from those 3 root words, all right? This is kind of like Latin. All right, you're going to have your 3 roots, right? Your roots that kind of like produce all the new words, right? That are kind of like subsets of all those like root words. And sometimes you're going to like swap out your root words. If you get a lot of words from one word that don't really, match with the vibe that you're trying to curate, right? Then you're just going to swap that out. That's how you know that root word isn't the correct root word. And you're going to keep sifting through those root words until you start getting a shit ton of words that you really resonate with, that you're like, damn, like, this is the direction I want to go. We're cooking, right? So That is going to be your first reference deck. Your second reference deck is going to be your visual references, all right? And this is where you're going to collect imagery. You're going to collect photos. You're going to collect video, all right? This is photography, colors, textures, artwork. Like, it could be literally be anything visual. For me, like, it's number one, it's colors, it's patterns, it's textures, it's like compositions, like specific photo compositions, it's like specific art styles, tattoo styles, like a bunch of just different things that inspire me. Photos from specific time frames or specific, like, you know, eras and shit. Just a bunch of things that kind of like make me think like, hell yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, I really like that. Like, you know, like if I hold up this and I hold up this, you're going to have more energy towards one or the other, right? Maybe you want an energy drink, or maybe you want water more, right? So you're going to feel that energy as you start consuming images. You know, you can use Pinterest, you can use whatever. We'll go into like a bunch of softwares that I use on day 3, which is why you guys need to be here on day 3, because you're going to get a shit ton of value there. But yeah, basically you're just going to collect a shit ton of images. All right. You're going to start building out a deck of images, whether it's, again, in Pinterest, in Cosmos, in fucking, you know, Apple Photos, in Google Docs, in whatever you want. All right. Now, reference deck number 3 is going to be your character references. All right. And these are going to be people. These can be people from films, which is where I like to source my character references. It could be people from actual time periods. It could be people from really anywhere. It could be just, these are just people. It could be celebrities, right? It could be like from anime, books, movies, you know. It could be from really anywhere, all right? You just want to pick characters that are unique, all right? And the reason I like to pick characters from films is because they were designed to be unique. They were designed to be special, all right? So, yeah, this reference system, super, super fucking important. Do not discount anything I just said. That will actually change the game for you. So next we're going to go into the DNA test, all right? And this is essentially the key that everything needs to pass, basically, and you're going to take every reference that you collect and you're going to ask yourself, like, hey, would this fit into the world of my identity? Right? Would this fit into what I'm trying to create, the world that I'm trying to create to sell clothes for people to get into, right? Every reference is going to go through that test, right? And basically, this will become your like master blueprint for every single decision that you make for your brand, because you now have kind of like parameters to operate within, right? Whenever you make a shirt, whenever you make a design, whenever you plan a campaign, you ask yourself, okay, would this fit into the world that I am trying to create? And the way that you answer that is by going to your references, going to your reference points, going to those 3 questions, going to your verbal references, your image references, your character references, saying, does that fit, right? Does it make sense to be there, all right? And if it doesn't make sense to be there, you're not going to make the decision. If it does, you are going to make the decision. And now you have your own blueprint. You have your own, basically just, you know, ChatGPT or kind of like mentor in a way that's going to tell you, hey, do this. Hey, don't do this, all right? Because you're going to know, especially if you take time to really develop that identity. All right, now let's get into the brand naming strategy, okay? So, your brand name is going to come after you bring together all these references. A lot of people put the cart before the horse. They try and name their brand before they collect all their reference points and kind of develop a core identity, and that is backwards. All right, and you're basically just gonna find some fucking dumbass name that you're like, oh well, that sounds good, and then you're gonna be like, well, maybe I should just like make designs with the name and like. You know what I'm saying? You're going to get lost, okay? That's just stupid. So don't do that, all right? You're going to pull your identity together first, and then you're going to go into your actually finding your brand's name, okay? So now we finalize your brand's name and store using your verbal references, right? So refer back to reference deck number 1. You're going to look at those words you collected and see which ones align with your market positioning, your visual references, and your character references. All right, so you're going to pull words from that list of verbal references. Now, my list of verbal references is over 1,000 words long. All right, so I have a lot to pull from. A lot of you guys, you guys can't just make like a list of 20 words and then just find some goated shit out of that. All right, likely you're gonna have to build it to like at least 100. Right, I tell everybody each reference deck should have at least for your verbal and image reference deck, like visual reference deck, you should have at least 100, right, to choose from, because you're slowly refining your taste. As you collect more and more references, you're going to start collecting less bullshit, and you're going to start collecting more of what matters. You're going to start like putting down and adding to the list more of what matters. You're going to go from adding the word cool to adding the word rambunctious, right? Like something more unique, right? Because you're going to think, oh, well, like I've already done that word, or like that word doesn't go with that word. You know what I'm saying? You want to like build that out to be at least 100. So yeah. Now I want to go over some kind of like just regular guidelines for naming your brand. Number one, you don't want to use more than 3 words. 3 words is pushing it. I like to stick to 1 or 2. Basically, any more than 3 words, you're going to make your Instagram username. It's going to be messy. Your domain name is going to be messy. It's just going to like suck. All right. The simpler you can keep it, the simpler it's easy, the easier it is to say, the easier it is to write, the easier it is to send to somebody, to text somebody, the better. Okay. So you're going to do one of 2 things, or one of 3 things actually. All right. You're going to describe a community. All right, pick a name that describes a community or a group of people all aligned under one idea or concept. And that's a really easy one, because the best strategy for brand growth is community. So you're going to describe a collective of people aligned under one idea, or you're going to present an energy. All right. The second thing I keep in mind is building a name that presents an energy. Different words display different types of energy. For example, sunshine and obsidian present 2 opposite energies. This one's very dark, this one's very light. All right, so obviously you can pick words and stuff that kind of like just present that energy. All right, and basically you just want to make sure that you're presenting an energy that aligns with your identity. Right, so you're going to, if you're going to use this presentation of energy method, you're going to go back to your reference decks. You're going to go back to the answers to those 3 questions, and you're going to say, hey, does this align? Right? And if you're picking a name that doesn't align, you're cooked. Nobody's going to resonate with your brand, because your brand's name, which is the title of what's going on, isn't congruent with what your identity is. All right. Now, let's talk about the third, creating a curiosity gap. All right. Creating something that makes somebody ask a question of like, okay, what's going on here? You know what I'm saying? Right. This one's advanced. This is basically just the creation of mystery. Okay, this is actually what I did with my brand's name. I kind of like named a anonymous entity, right? That is just like my brand's name, like Tamed Psychotic. Tamed Psychotic is a noun, right? It is a person. It is a anonymous person that is like the version of ourselves that we all want to be, right? Kind of like Tyler Durden from Fight Club, right? Tamed Psychotic is essentially the ascended version of ourselves now that we're looking to find, right? It's our superior self, right? So yeah, this one's pretty advanced, I will say. It is kind of difficult, simply just because you kind of have to like go against methods 1 and 2, and there's just a lot of risk that comes there. It can come off as corny to some people. It can be like difficult to align with kind of everything else. So I would recommend, if you're a beginner and you're maybe not as creatively inclined as some others, to stick with method 1 or 2. All right. So I want to now go into Lauren Phelps' story. Okay, so Lauren Phelps is one of my students that I started working with a while back, and I'm actually going to have him come in with us today. Lauren, you here? Hello? I'm not sure if this is working. And I also don't have my chat with me because somebody took my phone. But basically, Lauren was fucked whenever we kind of like started talking originally. He had kind of like, I want to say like 200 or 300 pair of cargo pants that he was sitting on that he couldn't sell. What's up, Lauren? Can you hear me? I cannot hear Lauren. Is he there? Oh, there he is. It's loading. Okie doke. So yeah, let's talk about Lauren's story. So Lauren was a complete beginner, no degree, no design experience, no clothing knowledge. I'm going to go back to the slides to kind of just show you this. So basically, he was a complete beginner. He lives in the Navajo province. He had no degree, no design experience, no clothing knowledge. He basically, like I said, manufacturing disaster. He bought 400 pair of sweatpants, and he only sold 30 to 35. And he was ready to give up because obviously, like, buying that many sweatpants and then losing them is not ideal. It keeps bouncing in and out. I'm not sure what's going on, but regardless, we'll keep it pushing. So, he was ready to give up. He was ready to quit. And he also had no traditional advantages. He didn't have like a bunch of money to like seed into it, a bunch of money to lose, to learn, like people talk about, right? So what I want to talk about specifically, though, was his brand identity breakthrough. All right. So Lauren had a moment, and it is still not working. So we're going to go back to the slides. What's up?
Make sure you're undeafened.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're on student interviews.
Perfect. And then go to Discord.
Go to Discord.
And then bottom left right there, or actually where it says where it has like the red thing.
This?
Yeah, sorry.
This?
Yeah, it says deafen. Deafen.
Yeah, it's
talk over that. Oh, it's undeafened already.
Yeah, it's undeafened
Is
already.
Lauren up in there at all or not?
I don't know if Lauren's in here. It's not. I don't know if it's working or not.
I'll ping him a text.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, let's go back to slides. We will have him come in a moment if it starts working. Our Discord thing is kind of fucked right now. So basically, Lauren just didn't understand identity. All right, Lauren didn't understand how to basically create a unique world that was more niched and kind of like brought people in under one specific thing. All right, so when me and Lauren started working together, we kind of talked about like what his circumstantial advantages are. All right, like what his circumstance looks like, who he is as a person, right? Like what's going on in his world, like where does he live, what does he do, what are the people around him like, what is his community, what is the community that he is a part of, right? Because we all subject ourselves to a community. Some of us to the gaming community, some of us to the anime community, some of us to the fitness and workout community, some of us to the sports community, right? Football, soccer, whatever it is, right? So basically, we wanted to shift to a community-focused positioning, all right? And positioning is really, really important. To define positioning real quick, positioning is just like where you stand, all right? Positioning is just simply where you stand, what part, what community that you're sitting in, what country you're sitting in, what state you're sitting in, what opinions you're sitting in, right? So positioning is really, really important. And what we actually did, so we shifted his positioning to serve the Native reservation community, right? Because he lives in the Navajo province, right? Which means he is a part of a niched group of people, right? So what we wanted to do was kind of like shape his brand to be kind of the brand for those people, right? Because those people can buy, the people in the Navajo province, they can buy Adidas and they can buy Nike and they can buy all of these things, right? But there wasn't really a brand for them, right? That it was a brand that was specifically made specially for the people in that area, right? And that's like super, super cool to have, right? If there was a brand that was made specifically for Marshall Cruz and it was really cool, and a bunch of other people like Marshall Cruz were buying from that brand and interacting with that brand and a part of it, I'm going to go fucking buy from that brand because that's fucking sick, all right? So that's what we wanted to do, right? And we kind of created a mission for his brand. And we wanted to create, and that for us, that was just brand design to inspire people who don't believe in themselves, specifically in that province, right? Because similar to my identity, like a lot of people in that province are kind of like, made to feel as if they are kind of screwed, right? They're just kind of like born into the wrong area, born into the wrong generation, born into the wrong, time period or zone or whatever, right? Because maybe there are some disadvantages to living there, all right? But he wanted to inspire people to kind of like give some pushback on that, all right? And maybe not acknowledge the disadvantages, maybe acknowledge the advantages and kind of like think about, okay, like, what's advantageous about being here? What good can we bring? What good can we get out of this? What positive can we see with this? That's like really, really important. Okay, Lauren, can you hear me? I can see Lauren. Oh, he's in here. Yo. Lauren, can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Hey, there he is. There he is.
There we go.
Sick.
Cool. Can you see my screen too?
Yeah, I can see your screen. All right, I want to make sure before you get started that everybody else can see this. If you guys can see Lauren's screen, then I'd love for you guys to just spam the chat with yes. Are we good? I need my phone, by the way. I can't see shit. Yeah. All right. We're good. Okay, Lauren, I'm going to let you kind of take it from here. I kind of gave you a little bit of a starting point while we were fishing through all those technical difficulties, but I think you should be able to kind of like explain this a little bit better than me as it is your brand. So yeah, I'm going to hand the microphone over to you and, I'll let you take it over.
All right, cool. Thanks, Marsh.
Yep.
So yeah, 2 years before meeting Marsh, I actually was buying courses and learning from YouTube, and nothing was working for me until Q3. I saw Marsh's post and I was like, oh shit, this guy's some, like, he's spitting a lot of game. And I had a brand image, but I didn't know how to funnel it down into what the people around me want, which is the brand that I have now, which is called Coso also. And then Q4 came around, and I was still hesitant on getting to inside Marsh's community. But I went ahead and got like 300 pairs of sweatpants, and it didn't sell. And I reached out to Marsh, and the way he went about it, he was like, you have a strong community, you have a strong meaning behind your brand, and this is what you need to do, this and do this for the community, you know. And I locked it all in, and in like maybe like less than a month's time, I turned that 300 pants into 15K. Because I told him about it 2 days, it was 9K, and then a couple days passed, and then it turned to 15K, which is pretty crazy. So every drop is pretty outstanding right now. And yeah, Marsh really put me on with a lot of game, and what he's saying through here is nothing but facts. Like I wasn't on track for my brand's meaning, but since it has meaning, like the whole Navajo Nation is just relates to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I honestly think that the biggest thing that you didn't understand, like the biggest thing holding you back was like that you didn't understand you were sitting on a gold mine, being that you are like actually like you're sitting in the midst of such an awesome niche community that you can have such powerful representation in, and like that's the magic of positioning. All right. And that's why it's really, really important within this whole thing to understand, like, okay, what are my circumstantial advantages? Like what in my life, what's going on with my situation, with what I want to do is advantageous to me, right? Like where can I go with this? Like what can I do? Who can I serve? Who is at my disposal that I can work with, right? Who can I interact with? Who can I talk to? Who can I support? Who can I serve, right? And more than likely, that's going to be a projection of self, right? Like, you know, for Lauren, like that was a projection of self. You know what I mean? Like Lauren's a fucking hustler, bro. Lauren has a construction business. Lauren like has helped his dad like build a business. Like Lauren's a hustler, right? So for him, he's thinking, okay, well, like, you know, I want to like help other people in my community understand they can do the same, right? Who is my community? Well, it's the members of the Navajo province, right? So yeah, that was his kind of like his kind of identity crisis that kind of led to where he is today, right? So yeah, I'll give it back to you, Lauren.
Yeah, and then after that, I think we're done here, Marsh. Because that's the whole story. I have everything down. You know, the only thing I gotta do is to scale a little bit bigger. It is like the first 6 months, but it's been going pretty good right now.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that, dude, like where like my brand's, it's going to take me 5 years to get where I want to be with my brand, 10 years maybe even, you know what I mean? Like this is kind of like a generational kind of business rather than like a, you know, kind of like, oh, we get it in 6 months and we're there. You know what I mean? It's going to evolve over time.
Yeah.
It's going to get bigger and better. You're going to change your creative direction. You're going to tweak things. You're going to like basically collect more and more data over time until you reach a point where you're like, oh my gosh, like, you know, like this is what I dreamt of creating. You're going to slowly discover the pieces of the puzzle that you can fit together, right? To create like a beautiful picture, essentially, right? Like building a brand is essentially like putting together a puzzle. You know, you have like all these options of things that you can do available to you, but it's about finding the right ones at the right time, right? Like maybe right now for you, working with the basketball team, right? That really good basketball team that's a part of your province is like the move, right? Maybe that's the piece that you can put together with the clothing to like make something a little bit prettier, right? And maybe next year it'll be a local artist, right? Maybe a local pop artist or something that you can like work with, and that'll be the next piece. And then the next year it'll be, you know, some kind of like event that you can host and sponsor, and that'll be the next piece. You know what I'm saying? Like that's kind of how it'll be for you. But dude, like I have 100% confidence in you, bro. You're like you've done crazy shit, and like you have probably one of the best like identity breakthrough stories, which is why I wanted you to come on to this workshop, because like you did such a good job with that identity, and like you're such a good example of what identity can do for a brand, and like how that can like really give a brand meaning to the customer beyond just the clothing itself. So thank you so much for hopping on here, dude.
Yeah, well, one more thing I forgot to mention. It's pretty big. I forgot to update you, but about a week ago, that one of that artists, they opened up for Trippie Redd. It was pretty crazy.
Oh,
they
that's
wore
sick.
the jersey.
You're saying,
sick, right?
So one of the people you're working with wore your jersey to open for Trippie Redd?
Yeah.
That is insane, bro. Well, congrats on that, bro. That's fucking sick. I'm still waiting on the day when an artist wears my clothes. Shit, man. You're in some ways you're ahead of me, bro. So good shit, bro. I'm really proud of you. Definitely really grateful to be able to be a part of like, you know, your journey and your story and everything. And again, everybody who's watching this, Lauren's a really fucking good example of what happens when you lock in your identity. So thank you so much for hopping in, Lauren. I appreciate you, and I hope everybody else here appreciates you as well. Well, thank you so much, and we'll talk soon. Sweet. All right. So for everybody who saw that was basically one of my good friends and students, Lauren. I wanted to bring him in to kind of like show his experience and his exact trajectory with identity development, to kind of like emphasize how difficult it is. All right, that brands don't just have cool designs, that your brand like means something, and that it serves people, and that it's like something that people feel is special to them themselves. So yeah. Really cool. Now I want to go into the design process mastery. All right, so let's talk about design. This is really important. I hope, can you guys see my slides? Spam the chat with yes if you guys can see design process mastery. I'm waiting on some yeses. Just want to make sure I'm streaming the correct thing. I think the chat might be behind too, because there's like fucking thousands of messages in here. Okay, cool. We're good. All right, so let's get into the design process. All right, so decision number one, who designs? Okay, first you need to ask yourself some questions. All right, should I be my own designer? Should I hire a designer? Should I source locally? And should I use print on demand? All right, the answer could be yes. It could be yes to any of these, all right? But it's dependent on the answers to the other questions. So for example, should I be my own designer, all right? First of all, you need to figure out if you have time to design your own shit. If you have time, if you have a bunch of other stuff that you need to figure out, all right? And at the end of the day, like you either know how to design, you either walk in with design experience or you don't. Right? You either walk in with experience on Photoshop and Illustrator or Procreate or, even Canva, right? You either walk in with that experience or you don't. And if you don't have that experience, you are either going to need to, one, learn that process, or you're going to need, sorry, I have forgot I was looking at this camera. You're going to either need to either one, learn that process, or you're going to have to like basically give that task to somebody else, right? So for me, whenever I started with my brand, I thought I needed to make all the designs myself because number one, I didn't know any good designers. I didn't know I needed to hire a designer, and I thought you were just supposed to design everything yourself. Now, number one, that's a fallacy. You don't need to be the one designing for your brand, and if you think that like makes your brand unauthentic or some shit, then like you're just ignorant and like fuck off. I don't give a shit, right? But basically, yeah, if you're not good at designs, you need to pay somebody else to do it. If you are good at designs, you enjoy the process, and you like learning, then do it, right? But it is going to slow you down because the first designs you will make will be shit. I know because I made a few designs whenever I started learning Illustrator and such, and they were dog shit, all right? And the reason is because I had no experience designing. I didn't know what good composition looked like. I didn't know what good thresholding looked like. I didn't know how to two-tone a graphic. I didn't know how to fucking, warp an image or like, manipulate an image to create something cool, right? I didn't know where to pull images from. I didn't know what was copyrighted, what wasn't copyrighted, what can I use, what can't I use, right? So in the beginning, it is really, really important to first decide whether you should be your own designer or not, all right? Are you creative? Are you experienced? Do you know how to use these softwares? Do you have time to use those softwares, all right? And you're gonna know pretty quickly whether you need to be doing it based on the work that you're doing, all right, and like what you are creating. So throw some shit at the wall, see what happens. But for the most part, like you're probably going to need to hire another designer because who the fuck, like very few people have design experience, right? And if you do have design experience, good for you. Awesome. I didn't. Most other people don't. So we'll need to hire somebody, right? So if you don't have a ton of time, you're not good at designing, or you're not creative, you need to hire a designer, all right? I love hiring designers because most of the time they can do it better than me. They can do what I want better than me, and I can just make a brief and tell them, hey, I want this here. I want this here. I want it to say this. Go have fun, have a ball, right? Come back to me when you're finished. If I like it, I'll take it, I'll pay for it. If I don't, then I'll tell you to change it, and then I'll pay for it, right? So, and basically, they sell me the design. I buy the design, I put it on the clothes, the design's good, people like it, so they buy it, and I make my money back with one sale, typically, two sales. 1 or 2 sales, I make my money back from paying for the design, all right? So it's typically worth it to just pay a fucking designer, all right? And if you don't have a designer, there's tons on Instagram. I can go in depth on how to, find that. Right now, actually. So how to find a good designer, right? You're going to go to Instagram or TikTok, type in .std or .dsg, and design accounts are going to come up. These are going to be designers on Instagram that basically just kind of like do freelance design work. You can find designers on Fiverr and shit. You can find them on a bunch of different places. But if you just want to find them real quick, go to Instagram, type in DSG, that stands for design, or STD, that stands for studio. All right, you're gonna pick one that you find. All my guys have we have a list of dedicated designers in our group. But if you want to find randoms, just go on there, find them, and you'll be good. All right. So and basically, you just need to find a designer that passes your DNA test. Right. Earlier we talked about the DNA test. Right. That kind of where we look at what makes up of our identity. Right. Our verbal, visual, and character references, and the answers to those 3 questions that I asked you from the 3-question framework. Look at the answers, look at the references, decide, hey, this guy fits, or maybe this guy fits, or maybe this guy doesn't, right? Again, if one designer, if your brand identity is super grungy and hardcore, then a designer who does pastel water painting and shit probably isn't going to be the guy for you, right? It's probably not going to be the guy. You're looking for somebody who's more in graffiti, metal logos, sharp edges, hardcore shit. All right, so just look for a designer that matches your brand identity. I'm gonna blow my nose real quick. Good Lord. I think my co-creative got me fucking sick. Anyways, but yeah, that's the biggest thing. All right, go to Instagram, TikTok, type in STD, DSG, look for a designer, collect 10 designers, pick a designer that matches your brand's identity, reach out to them, create a design brief. A design brief is a very simple description of what you want. Right, bring references in, bring your verbal reach from your verbal references and your image references. If you want them to use a specific image or something similar to an image that you have in your reference points, bring that image image in. If you want them to use a specific word, a specific phrase, the name of your brand, a specific font, bring those reference points. And basically, the way to get the most out of hiring a designer is to give them reference points, all right? To tell them as much information, peripheral information, right? That will give them an idea of what you want. Because I know that in your head you have an idea, right? But they don't have that same idea in their head. So the way that you get that idea in their head is to show them reference points. So be sure to include reference points in your brief. The brief has no set there. We don't have a brief template. Maybe we can make one of those for you guys to give out for free or something. But yeah, like it's very simple. You can do it in a paragraph. You can do it in a Google Doc. You can do it on Canva. You can do it on Figma. You can do it whatever, right? You can do it wherever. You can do it on Procreate. Most of the time I did them on Procreate, but if you don't have an iPad, I would just use Google Docs or Milanote or Miro or something like that. We'll go over softwares on day 3. I don't want to get into all that bullshit right now. Right now we're working on foundations, right? So let's get into the product development process. Jesus Christ. So I'm going to break down my product development process. This is a process, and it is maybe not the most fun part of the entire business, but it is very, very, very important to understand. And I learned this through trial and error, right? Trial and error, and then also working with a couple other brands that were doing okay with their pre-production processes. So yeah, and I also learned from some pretty expensive mistakes. And I learned a lot of things: task management. I learned communication. I learned mannerisms. I learned softwares. I learned timelines. I learned a bunch of different shit. But we're gonna start with concept and passion, all right? If you don't love making clothes, if you don't love being creative, if you don't love what you're creating, you're gonna fail. Most of you will fail if you don't actually like and believe in what you're creating, all right? So you don't need to create something unless you like it. If you don't fuck with diapers, then don't fucking make diapers. You feel me? All right, you need to make shit that you like. For me, I really love everything that I make. I love vintage inspired concepts. I love hard shit. I love grungy shit. I love fucking, distressing and fading and like anything that makes something look like old and like it has character and like it's maybe not brand new and polished. That's the shit I love. All right. So you need to make shit that you love. All right, that's being creative. That's like actually like truly being creative. Is like taking a love or a passion that you have and making stuff with it. So that's step number 1. Make sure that you have passion behind what you're creating. All right. Step number 2 is going to be the iteration process. All right. So sample number 1. Right? Obviously, you're going to get a sample. After you get your design made, you're going to get a sample. It's never the final sample, all right? It's never the final sample. It's never the last sample. Very fucking rarely do we place a sample order and it, like, comes out perfect. Like, that never fucking happens, like, ever, all right? So, yeah, that's the first thing to realize. So when your first sample comes in and it's fucked up, don't be upset. Because everybody goes through that. The best companies in the world with the best tech packs, the best manufacturer relationships, the first sample always fucking sucks, all right? Because what makes a good designer or a good creative director is not the sampling process, it's the revision process. All right, that is what makes a good designer. All right, so typically it takes us as a brand 2 to 3 rounds of sampling for cut and sew development. Now for printed t-shirts, we can typically get those in one go, but for anything cut and sew, it typically takes 2 to 3. That's like a pair of pants or like a specific cut and sewn, like a specific pattern for a shirt or a top or a hoodie or a specific wash on something like a hoodie, right? Anything with a new pattern is going to take 2 to 3 iterations, right? So for graphics, like I said, sometimes it'll take 1 or 2, depending on how the print file comes out. But typically cut and sew, it's 2 to 3. So your first iteration will probably be bad, but the thing that separates a good designer from a mediocre designer is your ability to revise, like I said earlier, right? And that revision process, this is like the most important step, all right? If you can't revise, you're cooked. You're screwed. Like you're going nowhere. All right, your shit's gonna be ass. All right. So number 1, you need time for development. All right, you need to be patient. What the fuck? Like I said earlier, right? And that revision. Why? What happens when you lock in your? Why is my computer talking? Okay, that's super weird. But anyways, I've heard myself through my computer. You guys can still hear me, right? Spam yes if you guys can still hear me. I need to see some yeses before I keep going. I don't want you guys to miss this. This is really important. Come on. Tell me yes. Tell me yes. Tell me yes. Spam yes. Okay, yeah, we're good. All right, cool. So you need time for development. You need to be patient. You need to understand that you are not going to have a finalized item in one week. All right. For us to plan out a collection and do the pre-production for a collection, it typically takes like, I want to say from start to finish, from ideation to pre-production to placing a purchase order to selling, it takes like 3 months typically. All right. Because first you need to select, you need to source your reference points. All right. You need your reference points first. Then you put together your design. Then you place your sample. Then you revise your sample, sometimes twice. Then you get a production sample, right? Which is like the final sample before the bulk order that the bulk order will be based on. Then you place your bulk order. Then you receive your product. Right? And then you ship out your product. Sometimes you can sell your product a little bit before you get it shipped, but typically before you get it in hand, but typically you want to wait till you get it in hand. But it just depends on your timeline and kind of like what your people are used to in terms of turnaround, right? If you want to have fast turnaround, then wait till your bulk order gets in hand. If your audience is okay with waiting a little bit, then you can push it a little bit, right? So regardless, that's your steps, all right? And if you skip any of those steps, you're cooked. Okay, so you need to walk in with patience. You need to walk in understanding this is going to take a little while, okay? And that's why, like, for us, we're like, we try to be like 3 to 4 months ahead on pre-production. Just in case something goes wrong, we need to get a couple extra samples, some bullshit happens, all right? So, yeah, you need to basically just be patient, wait till you get the sample that's going to be really good, all right? Don't market a trash sample. Don't market something you don't fuck with. Don't try and sell something you don't fuck with. Wait till you fuck with it, all right? And sit on something. Sometimes an item, like these cargo pants that I'm wearing, I don't know if you guys can see these, but I've sat on these pants for like a fucking minute, all right? Because I wanted to make sure they were perfect before I released them, right? And now that I have confirmation that they're good and that I like them, now we're releasing them, all right? So, yeah, really, really important step. And yeah, you need to have this like, oh shit, we did it. This is perfect moment. And until you have that moment, you're not done. You are not done with pre-production. Continue sampling, continue revising. All right. So now step number 3 is going to be testing. You need to send feelers out to your audience, specifically for the streetwear audience or whatever niched audience that you are trying to market to. Right. You can post your designs on Reddit, TikTok, Instagram. Show your designs to, you can use an R&D page, a backup page, a personal page. You can actually, one of my favorite methods of testing, product testing, is to go to somebody in that specific niche that's going to give me an unbiased opinion. Right? Go to find somebody who doesn't care about me or making me happy and ask them like, hey, do you fuck with this? If I'm targeting surfers, I'm going to find some way to reach a surfer, whether it's like on Reddit, TikTok, Instagram, whatever, to get unbiased feedback. And I really like Reddit here because Reddit, those motherfuckers don't give a shit. All right. They will tell you your shit's ass if your shit's ass. All right. And most of us have that one friend that will tell us it's ass. All right. So definitely go to your unbiased communities. All right. You don't want to go to a biased community or somebody that's going to or your mom, be like, hey mom, is this good? Because she's gonna be like, oh yeah baby, it's really good. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't want to go to biased people. So go to unbiased sources, get opinions, real opinions, and it's better, you get bonus points if that person sits well within the niche that you're trying to target. And then yeah, basically like get feedback. That's what I do. And once you have feedback, right, you know in your heart, like, okay, I like this or I don't like this. And then you also have data from the person that you're trying to sell to, your ICP, ideal customer profile, target audience, whatever you want to call it, saying, hey, this is good or this isn't good, right? And maybe they have some really detailed feedback that's like, hey, I like the shape and I like the fabric, but this little button here, it's really inconvenient because of this and this and this. Right? Specific to that niche of people. Like for surfers, right? Like let's say you're making swim trunks. Oh, I really like the color of the swim trunks, but the drawstrings are too long and they'll get caught on my surfboard whenever I'm trying to stand up and get on my board. Okay, this is useful information. This is why you go and get feedback from people who sit within that target niche, because now you have data that will help you make a product that's more suited to that customer. All right? So once you have data, right? Feedback, data, same shit, right? Now you can actually make a business decision. All right. Now you have data that says, hey, you know, the data says this is good. All right. And this niche will like it. And it's not just based on my opinion, because unfortunately, guys, most of you guys don't have like world-class taste yet. all right? It takes a long time to get world-class taste. I have a designer on retainer because he's 34 and his taste is better than mine. I have some great taste. And I'm aware that I have some really good taste, but his taste is better, which is why I pay him every month, because his taste is just, he's been around longer. He's seen more shit, all right? And a lot of you guys who are just starting in this stuff, your taste isn't going to be as good as somebody who has been in that field for a minute, right? So find, again, an unbiased source who is a part of your target audience community, who's going to have good taste, right? Ask them, ask those people. As many people as you can find as possible, which is, again, why I like Reddit, and I also like TikTok. And yeah, get feedback. Once you had feedback, now you can place your shit, right? So let's talk about the production quantity strategy. And this is where a lot of you guys fuck up. A lot of you guys fuck up here, and I don't want that to happen, all right? I want you guys to fuck up, so I am going to go in depth on this, and I'm going to be a little bit harsh, all right? So you want to predict how many units you're going to sell of something so that you can place a bulk order and accurately, hit that target, right? You don't want to commit to full production runs before you have the data that supports the bulk order, right? But even the perfect product means nothing if you can't manufacture them properly, all right? So number one, you need a good product, right? Obviously, we need a good product. Number two, we need to make sure we're manufacturing them correctly. And number three, we need to make sure that we're not buying too many units, all right? If we're buying too many units, we're not going to sell them all, and that means we're not going to make money, right? We may not even break even, right? If we buy too many units and if we buy 200 units and we only sell 50, I don't even think we may have made our money back, right? We want to buy 200 units and sell at least 100, maybe 150. You know what I'm saying? Ideally you want to sell out, right? But not everybody's going to sell out their first try, right? So you're going to want to go with a number that you feel comfortable selling at, right? So yeah. Basically, what I'm going to actually do is before we go into this, I want to get a little bit more in depth on that number. What you want to order from the beginning is the lowest MOQ that your manufacturer will offer. And typically this low MOQ, the lowest MOQ sits between 30 and 50. All right, 30 if you find a gold manufacturer that will do just shit. They're trying to get new clients, right? Which means they'll do stuff at a really, really low MOQ. 30 is ideal, right? But most of the time you're going to find about 50, right? Unless it's some super custom jewelry shit, those typically sit a little bit higher. But regardless, like if you're trying to find something like clothing wise, like most manufacturers will sit at 50. Don't buy more than 50. All right. If it's your first time, don't go and be like, oh, I think I could do 200 and buy 200, because then you're going to sell 50 and be like, fuck, I should have bought 50, man. Like, what was I thinking? All right. I'm telling you right now, don't waste your fucking money. I don't want you guys to waste money. I did this back in January. I bought 300 of the utility tech hoodies that I dropped like a long time ago, like 3 years ago or something. And I bought 300 or 400 of them. And I think I sold like 120. And I was like, bruh, like, why did I buy 300 or 400? I only sold 120. You know what I'm saying? I don't want you guys to make the same mistake I made. So stick with the MOQ until you have data to support that you can sell more than 50. Okay? That's really, 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 I'm seeing people in the chat. I already fucked that up, bro. Like, yeah, it isn't the end of the world. And I'm seeing a lot of people talk about Printful. Printful's great. All right. Printful is print on demand. For those of you who don't know, print on demand is basically where you can go on a website and select a product and say, hey, I want this design on this product, and you can buy them as you sell them, right? So if you sell 5 of them, you buy 5 of them, right? Print on demand is really, really cool for beginners because there's no risk. There's no financial risk involved, right? So print on demand is super dope. And I know I've talked about print on demand before. A lot of people are like, oh, well, I want my shit to be high quality, blah, blah, blah. If you're a beginner, you have no data, you have no identity, you have no foundation, fuck your quality, all right? Let's just build your world. Let's get some sales in the door first. Then we'll worry about like going crazy and making some avant-garde cut and sew shit, all right? So for a lot of you guys, print on demand is going to be like a decent option. And again, it's not going to be the most high quality shit, but in the beginning, I'm telling you guys right now, you guys are not fucking Rick Owens, okay? You guys are not Pharrell. You guys are not Virgil Abloh. You guys are not the fucking world-class designers that you think you are, right? A lot of people will shit on Printful and they'll be like, oh, trust, bro. Like, I'm going to make some dope shit. Spend 6 months making a t-shirt, a cropped boxy t-shirt, and then don't sell it. Meanwhile, the guy who uses print on demand, like in the beginning, makes a shirt with a graphic on it while he's refining his brand identity. He sells 10 shirts. He buys 10 shirts. He sells another 10 shirts, another 20 shirts. And in the same span of time, this guy has now stacked up $5K to like invest in whatever cut and sew development he wants, while you're negative probably like $1,000 and haven't sold shit. All right. So for those of you who shit on print on demand and you're a beginner too, I'd consider piping down until you get some money in the door. All right. So let's go into manufacturing, sourcing and vetting suppliers. Very, very, very important section. Don't want you guys to miss this. All right. So I'm going to show you exactly how to find manufacturers without getting scammed. I'm going to be transparent with you. I've been scammed before. I got fucked in 2023, lost $30,000. And then I got fucked again in 2024. Both of the manufacturers were in Pakistan. I don't know what I can and can't say here, but fuck Pakistan manufacturers. Maybe they're not all bad, but the two that I worked with happened to be the only two that fucking scammed me. All right. And basically I'm going to go over red flags. I'm going to do a live demonstration. So for those of you who stayed till here, this is some fucking value right here. I'm going to do a live demonstration on how exactly to go and like find a product and what to ask a manufacturer. I'm going to show you guys red flags. I'm going to show you guys things to keep an eye on to make sure. So you're going to see my process for finding and vetting a supplier. You're going to see exactly how I search on Alibaba, what questions I ask, what red flags I watch out for. And this isn't like, oh, this is like how I think I would do it. This is what I do for suppliers, because I don't use a sourcing agent. I don't have a production manager. I am the production manager. All right. So this is what I do. All right. I don't use one manufacturer for everything. There's a lot of things that my primary cotton goods manufacturer can't do. Right. So like there's a million, and you guys will see, I've messaged a shit ton of manufacturers on here. So yeah, we're going to, and I'm also going to show you the exact scripts and methods that work. So, that's what we're going to do now. What's up? Yeah, just add a tab. Sweet. We're going to go into Alibaba. All right. If anybody hacks me, I'll find your family and kill them. I'm kidding. Just don't hack me. Thanks, guys. All right, so you got this big search bar up here. Can everybody see the Alibaba website? Somebody say yes if you can see the Alibaba website. Can you see it? We're good? Okay, cool. All right, we've got Alibaba here. All right, so as you can see in my recent search history, we've got dog tags, Nalgene water bottle, dog muzzles. That is actually not my most recent search history. I don't know what the fuck that's about. But if we want, let's say we want to make a product, all right? And for starters, this is Alibaba. This is where 99% of people make their goods, all right? This website's going to host manufacturers from all different countries, like all kind of different products. You see here, they're doing like fucking sunglasses, athletic tape, I don't even know what that is, neckties, shoehorns, cigars, neck pillows, like a million different things, right? We've got lighters. They're showing me advertisements for dog tags because as of late I've been looking for a good supplier for dog tags. Hats, right? Like, bro, you can make fucking anything on here, all right? So basically what you're going to do is you're going to say, okay, what do I want to make? And then you're going to go to this product bar and you are going to, okay, I think we're good. All right, we're going to go to this product bar and we're going to search up. Let's say we want to make a pair of, let's see we want to do washed denim. All right, we're going to search up washed denim, okay? And all these suppliers are going to pop up. Now, what you're going to see is a lot of bullshit pictures, okay? A lot of these pictures are shown from like just taken from websites. So just because a manufacturer says, oh yeah, like these are some jeans we made, that doesn't mean they made them. They could have made these or they may not have made these. They're just trying to get you to tap onto the thingy by putting like a more trendy kind of like this shit. I know they did not fucking make these. These are this is from a brand that I know of, and like this brand probably did not make them because that brand, see, they're here. It's the same picture. You know what I'm saying? Like these are not the same. I'm pretty sure this is like, yeah, this is some fucking Shein crap. And like, I don't know who the fuck would want to buy these, but anyways, yeah, basically, you're going to go in here and you're going to start first. on this left side with filters. Number one, you're going to make sure that you have trade assurance selected. Okay, trade assurance is basically going to protect your money. It's going to keep you from getting scammed. All right, if you have trade assurance on, you can always file a dispute, and you can say, hey, I didn't get my product. The product wasn't as described, whatever, and you can get your money back. All right, this is something I wish I fucking knew before I started with manufacturers, because I didn't use trade assurance, and that's how I got scammed to that $30,000 from the guy in Pakistan. Fuck that guy. Anyways, so the next thing you're going to want to click is the verified supplier. Verified suppliers are just going to make sure that you are working with verified people on the app that actually do this shit. And as you can see, like underneath here, you can see their experience, their documented experience. This one has 6 years of experience. This one has 2 years. This one has 5 years. This one has 9 years. Like, holy shit, 9 years is actually crazy. What the fuck? But anyways, yeah. And you can also like filter by a lot of different things over here. But at the end of the day, like I pretty much just use those two because I don't really care what country it comes from as long as the product is good and the tariffs and shit aren't crazy. And I don't really pay attention to any like the management certifications or anything or the styles. Like this doesn't fucking matter because all the manufacturers can do all this shit, like the variations. That's just like that's just if you want to buy some like drop shipped product that's already made, right? And you want to like, let's say I want to buy like this exact pair of shorts, right? I can go in here and buy that exact pair of shorts, which I can't, but okay. Can you guys see now? I saw a comment that said I should zoom in. Can you guys see? Hopefully that's better. Fuck, I got a lot of people saying that. All right, are we good? I zoomed in. Is everybody good? Can everybody see? All right, I'm gonna wait till I get confirmation on that, so I don't fucking keep going. Okay, better. Awesome. Okay, sweet. So now we're going to go to washed denim. Now, first of all, we want to find... First, I'm going to make sure, now that I have all the verified suppliers on, the ones that have trade assurance on, I'm going to look at two things. I'm going to look at, number one, the image on the cover, right? Because if they have an image like this on the cover, that tells me they are not up to date. They are not working with U.S. buyers because no U.S. buyers outside of people in like Atlanta, maybe Houston, Louisiana, maybe, I don't know, fuck. They're not going to be buying these, right? Like most people are going to be buying these. Most people are going to be buying these. Most people are going to be buying these. No one in their, oh shit. Wait, there we go. We're back. No one is fucking buying these, okay? Like, no one's buying those, so I'm not going to fucking select them, right? Even though their minimum order quantity says 1 piece, I'm not going to fucking, like, pick from them. So I'm going to find one that has, like, an up-to-date image at least, right? Like, maybe here, 50 piece is their minimum order quantity, 3 years of experience. Okay, that's not bad. Like, they have 16 reviews. Let's try and find one with more reviews. This one has 240 reviews. This one has 9 years of experience, and they have 50-piece MOQ. So, okay, we're going to go with them, all right? So now you're going to go, and you're going to kind of check out the images they have, which these are literally just images from a fucking brand page. Like, they probably didn't even make these jeans. They just wanted to give people an idea of, like, what to expect. They probably made these jeans. I would believe that they made these jeans, but they definitely didn't make these. So what we're going to do is we're going to ignore all this crap. We're going to go over here, and we're going to make sure that they have like reviews. We're going to go and look at some of the reviews. You can see the reviews here, which what the fuck? Why is there only 5 product reviews? Oh, that's on that one specific product. But we saw from the manufacturer that there was a lot of reviews from the supplier themselves. And that's what matters, not on one specific product, because we're not going to buy this one specific product anyways, right? So what you're going to do is you're going to go to send inquiry. All right. Now down here, this is in some... I want to translate. Come on now. Language setting. No. All right, whatever. We're just going to start typing. So we're going to send a message, and we're going to say, hey, hang on. Let me zoom this in so you guys can see this. Can you guys see this? I need yeses in the chat if you guys can see this. More zoom in. Yeah. Okay. I'm zoomed in now. I hope you guys can see this. All right. So we're going to write out a message. We're going to say, hey, and we're going to be all happy and excited. I want to place an order for 50 pair of jeans. And then you're going to say, can you provide me with previous work? That's the first thing you ask them. All right. The first thing you say is, can you provide me with previous work? Because if they show you their previous work and it's bullshit, then you know this manufacturer sucks, right? But if they show you previous work and it's low-key pretty good, right? The wash looks good, the distressing looks good, the hardware looks good, the pattern looks good, then you know, like, okay, maybe we're working with some sauce here, right? So then we're going to say, can you provide me with some previous work similar to the image attached, right? Then you're going to say, and you can either say this in the next when they respond, right? Or you can say it in the original message and say, first of all, can you provide me with previous work? And then you're going to say, can you provide me with lead time, with sample and bulk lead times. Now your lead time is going to be your turnaround time, right? So essentially, how fast from me placing an order will I get the product that I buy, right? Some people are super backed up and they're going to say, oh, well, it's going to be 6 weeks. I ain't waiting fucking 6 weeks for a sample. Like, hell nah, right? So what, like an ideal answer would be like 2 to 4 weeks. 2 to 3 weeks actually for a sample. Then for bulk, your ideal answer is 4 weeks. So for those of you like who are wondering what's good sample turnaround time, 2 to 3 weeks is good for sample, and for bulk, 4 to 5 weeks is good for bulk, especially if it's cut and sew. If it's like printing t-shirts, it should be faster. It should be like 2 to 3 weeks bulk for printing t-shirts. But if it's cut and sew, like a pair of denim like this, 4 to 5 to 6 weeks is okay, right? So you're gonna wanna make sure that your quantity's up here, right? We wanna buy 50, maybe we can even put in 30. Oh, we can actually put in 30, right? If we want a lower MOQ. And then obviously like pieces, obviously. So yeah, we're gonna stick to 50 though, because yeah. And then we're just going to, oh wait, let me zoom this back out. We're going to submit this inquiry and it's going to bring us here to this page. All right, can you guys see this page? Now, we're going to translate all this to English because I ain't reading all that. It's not translating the window. Okay, regardless, we know what this says. My computer's geeking out right now, but you guys should be fine. Here, we'll try and highlight everything on this page. Translate section English. Translate full page, and it's still in Mandarin. Awesome. Okay, so regardless, we have our message here, right? We have our quantity here. We're gonna put 50. This is where it says quantity, and then we're gonna upload an image, all right, of our design. This is gonna be our tech pack or whatever the fuck, right? So here we're gonna say, let's just fucking go find a pair of jeans real quick. Images, boom. Save image as, save, back here, and then here, let's go to downloads. Damn it, fucking won't let me click on it. You're just gonna upload that photo that you save to there. Now they have the inquiry, they have that item, a general idea of what the item is, they have the quantity, and they have an image of the item. That's not the image of the item, it's just the one that was available for download at the moment. And then we're going to submit our inquiry, and that, my friends, is how you will submit an inquiry. And then you're just going to go to your little message box down here where you can talk to somebody. Oh, she's already responded. She said, we accept orders starting at 50 pieces. Sample lead time is 7 to 15 days. Bulk lead time depends on the specifics. I'll confirm previous work similar to your image. Could you please share your receiving location to assist further? Now, this will be the second question that they ask typically is where do you live, so that they can kind of like give you a quotation with shipping included, right? So you're just going to say, oh, I live, I'm not going to tell you guys where the fuck I live, but basically you would type in your address and she's going to give that to you. I'll give you guys like my old address. So actually, I don't even know if that's wise. We'll just say 1236 YBG Lane. This is some random address. I don't even know. What's a city in Kansas? Or we'll say Kansas City, Kansas. United States. No zip code. And we're going to put that in. Boom. She has the address. Obviously, you're going to give them a real fucking address. And then you can tell from there, she'll know what shipping costs are going to be, because it's going to be different if you live in Australia versus if you live in the US. So that's really important too. Boom. Can you tell me your sizes? What the fuck? Why is this tweaking out? Oh, could you tell me the sizes, any custom needs for 50 pairs? Also, what's the purchase for? And you're just going to say, hi, this is a purchase for my apparel brand. I want it to look, I want it as shown in my design attached to the inquiry. Now, obviously, you'll have your tech pack or your mock-up or your call sheet or whatever attached to there. So they'll just reference that and say, oh, hey, they want a pair of blue jeans that's washed with distressing, this hardware, this image on the leather tag, whatever, right? So yeah, that is going to be essentially how you do it, right? It's like pretty fucking simple. So yeah, that's kind of like the biggest thing to like the biggest kind of like SOP for finding a fucking supplier. So yeah, that was my demo. Now I want to talk about, first of all, a couple of red flags. All right, so basically, we're going to talk about red flags first, because this is what's going to keep you guys from getting scammed. All right, so immediate pressure to place an order. That is a fat red flag. If they're trying to get you to place an order, they keep bugging you about it. They're messaging a million times. They are trying to get your fucking money, all right? And I know this because I've spoken to probably over 100 suppliers, and I know the difference between one that's trying to push me to place an order and one that really will take time for the pre-production process. You want a manufacturer that will be patient with you and work with you in the pre-production process, all right? Now, the next red flag is refusal to send work. Now, if that manufacturer had refused to send me work and said, oh, no, we don't have any previous work, or they just sent me other images that I know are just from some fucking Instagram page on or some Instagram clothing brand page, then I know, like, okay, they don't even have previous work. They're gonna give me dog shit work, and I'm gonna pay for dog shit work. All right. If they don't have trade assurance, that's an obvious one. If they don't have trade assurance, don't fucking work with them. If they have unusually low prices, all right, we're going to go over standard prices and what is low, because that's a commonly asked question that I get. If they have unusually low prices, then they are not going to give you quality shit. You're going to get it in person and be like, damn, this shit is fucking ass. Or you're not going to get it at all, specifically if they don't have trade assurance. Now, for prices, I want everybody to listen up, take out their little pencil and their notebook, because this is important information that a lot of people, that is literally like not on the fucking internet, allegedly. All right, so what is a good price for a sample? All right, now I'm not going to tell you a good price for every different garment, because different garments are going to cost different things. But if you are buying a t-shirt and you see a sample price for $100, that is not a scam. That is okay. $100 is not the end of the world. All right, $100 is pretty good, because number one, you have to think about their costs. They have to create the pattern, and creating a pattern costs money. They have to actually sew it together. They have to create the print, which typically requires a screen development process, which costs money, right? It costs money to make the screen, and then you can use the screen to print 100 garments, right? But to print the first one, you have to make the screen, so that costs money. And then you have the actual then you have the fact that like they're not making money from making that sample. Like they don't, like if they charge you $100, they're profiting nothing from making that sample for you. All right, they don't profit until you place the bulk order. All right, so for a shirt, $100 is fine. For jeans, I typically pay like between $200 and $250 for a jean sample. For sweatpants, between $100, $150 typically. For hoodies, between $100 and $200. For like accessories, little things like that, it's typically not much unless it requires a custom mold to be made, and then it's a bit more, right? But for things that don't require a custom mold, you can expect between $50 and $100. For things that do require a custom mold, it could be up to $500, all right? But typically you guys aren't going to be getting into that right away anyway. So yeah, that would be what my pricing standards look like. But yeah, anyways, so another red flag, vague answers about production capabilities. Like we can make that, we might not can make that. I think, let me go ask somebody, right? That probably means that they don't have the ability to do it, and that they're basically going to go and try and find another manufacturer that they can pawn off the work to and scrape the money off, right? And then they're going to say, oh yeah, we can do that. But what they're actually doing is they're just going and saying, hey, can we pay you guys to make this item? And then they're going to upcharge you, pay them, and then just take the profit off, right? So if they do that, more than likely they're either a sourcing agent or they don't have the capability and they're pawning it off to another manufacturer, and you're paying more than you need to pay. All right. And if you're cool with that, awesome. If you're not, then go find another manufacturer. All right. And the last one is poor communication. All right. If they don't understand what you're saying, if the language barrier is too great, if they can't understand English very well, or whatever language that you speak, or maybe their communication, a lot of gaps, right? Maybe they are quick to dodge questions, right? Those are all red flags. If you guys see those, then fucking just go turn the other way, all right? So now let's go over the key questions and evaluation, all right? So number one, they're going to send you videos of previous work after you prompt them to, like I said, and this is how you're going to gauge whether they can achieve the quality that you need. And this is how you're going to get an idea of okay, I have this picture of a product in my head. That video tells me they can probably do it because that looks like a hard product to make, and it's in the same wheelhouse as the product I'm trying to make, all right? So number one, ask for bulk lead time. Just like I said earlier, how fast can they create and ship your bulk order from the time that you pay? Ask for sample lead time, as indicated earlier. Same thing, but for samples. And then you're going to ask for the pricing. After you've seen that they can make good shit, after you've got an understanding of how long it's going to take you to make the good shit, right? And if you like the answers to all three of those initial questions, right? Previous work, sample lead time, and bulk lead time, you're going to ask them, all right, what would you quote me for X amount of pieces of this item, right? With specifications, obviously, which should be called out either on your call sheet, your tech pack, your mock-up, whatever the fuck you send them, right? And you're going to ask for the unit price with shipping. All right, and they're going to give you a unit price. Typically, they'll say, hang on a moment, let me go speak with my manager. And then they'll go to the manager who does all the quotations, all the negotiations and such, and they'll say, hey, this guy wants 100 pair of these pants or 50 pair of these pants. This is what the pants are. This is what's going to be required of us to make that happen. Then they're going to calculate, okay, well, it's going to cost us X amount to wash, X amount to do the pattern, X amount to cut the fabric, X amount to source the fabric, because this is the fabric we're going to need to source. That's what they'll typically do. They'll say, hey, what fabric do you want? And then what grade of hardware or whatever do you want? And then you'll say, hey, I want this or I want this, right? After they send you options. And then they'll say, okay, yeah, it'll be $30 a pair, right? I don't know what the fuck. It just depends on kind of what country you're ordering from, what specifications the garment has. If it's super detailed, super complicated, or if it's something super simple, the price can vary anywhere. I mean, I've purchased pants that cost me $24 to make, and then I've also purchased pants that cost me $70 to make, all right, per unit, and that's including shipping. But you always want to ask for the actual price you're going to pay, not the shipping, right? Because they can, a lot of the time, you just ask for, oh, what's my unit price? And you'll ask 5 manufacturers, 3 of them will include the shipping, 2 of them will say, this guy's a beginner. We can probably get him if we don't include the shipping. And then we'll throw the shipping in at the end after we make the product and they're obligated to pay for it, right? And they have to pay the shipping. And that is a fucking red flag. If they don't give you the price with shipping included, with freight, as they call it, then they're probably trying to pull a fast one on you. All right. So, yeah, make sure to ask for shipping. And another thing that's important, you need to describe your product clearly. All right. That's why you need a call sheet or a tech pack on your inquiry. That's why I said earlier, if you send an inquiry, make sure on that second page that pops up that you always attach your call sheet, your mock-up, your tech pack, whatever you have to describe the garment that you're trying to get made. All right. So yeah, manufacture, evaluation, and negotiation. All right. So number one, look at the previous work. Does the stitching match the quality level you need? Are the seams straight? Do the graphics look crisp, or are they cracking, peeling? Do they look shiny? Do they look like they're using water-based or plastisol? There's a million different things you can look into, but just make sure it looks like up to your standards, all right? Can you see the attention to detail in the finishing and the hardware, things like that, all right? You want to look for consistency across multiple pieces, not just their best works. You want to see an array of things that they've done. Ideally, you want to see a portfolio with like 30, 40 pieces that they've done, all right? You want to evaluate communication, number two, all right? Are they good? Are they responding within like 12 hours? I don't like 24 to 48 hours. I like 12 hours. I need you to be fucking on it, all right? Because I'm going to be on it. I need you to match my energy, all right? Do they actually understand what you're asking? Are they giving generic copy-paste responses, all right? Are they asking intelligent questions about your design, about your process, about pre-production, right? Professional communication now means fewer headaches later. Okay, if you do really, really well to communicate with your manufacturer, like in pre-production, which is why I said pre-production is really, really, really fucking important, then you're gonna have way less headaches down the line whenever after your product's made, and that's how you avoid this whole, oh man, I placed my bulk order and my product came in and that shit sucked. All right, what the problem was your pre-production was missing. All right. Now, number three, check pricing. You're going to want to check their pricing against everybody else that you contacted. So what you are going to do is you are going to now copy and paste the message that I sent to that supplier. You're going to go find 5, 6, 7 other suppliers that match the criteria, right? Verified supplier, trade assurance, years of experience, good reviews, good cover image, right? You're going to send that message to them, right? You're going to get quotes and previous work from everybody. You're going to select the manufacturers with the best previous work. That's criteria number one. Criteria number two is going to be looking at the lead time, okay? If you like the previous work and you like the lead time, now we talk about costs, all right? Select the one that you feel like is the best price. If they have good previous work, they're going to make good shit. If they have good lead time, you're going to get your good shit within a decent time. Now, you just need to figure out how expensive is it. Oh, well, if those 3 manufacturers that I've chosen, one's quoting me 30, the other 33, the other 39, obviously, I'm probably going to go with either the middle or the lowest, all right? I don't like going with the lowest because that pretty much guarantees that you will get low quality, right? So what I like to do is I like to go with the middle ground, okay? So yeah, and also if something is very expensive, ask them to justify it, all right? And if they say like, oh, well, actually, most manufacturers make their leather in, you know, like wherever, right? We make ours in Italy. We source from here. We have this, right? We're going to do your garment with this, right? Then maybe, yeah, it offers for justification for the higher price. And sometimes it's worth it for the better materials, craftsmanship, and then sometimes they're just trying to scam you, trying to overcharge, all right? Now, 4, assess lead times. Now, I typically put this step earlier, right? But you need to look at the times realistically, okay? Reasonable lead times are typically 2 to 4 weeks for like lower end items. That's like t-shirts, hoodies, sweatpants. And then for more complex items, jeans, cargos, shit like that, it's going to take a little bit longer. More steps equals longer time. More steps to make the garment equals longer lead times, okay? If they say they can do 1,000 pieces in 3 days, that is bullshit. Nobody can fucking do that. And if they're either lying to try and get your business or they're trying to rush it and the quality will suck, right? So yeah, you want to make sure that like they're quoting you realistically. Okay. Next, we're going to get into the negotiation strategy. All right, so most manufacturers expect some back and forth on pricing, especially for larger orders. They expect negotiation. All right, so don't be afraid to ask for better pricing if you're ordering decent quantities, but negotiate on value, not just price. Okay, so maybe you can't get a lower unit cost, but maybe you can negotiate free samples, faster shipping, or maybe a payment term that works better with your cash flow. For example, for me, with my manufacturer, I don't pay the full cost up front, all right? For my stuff, I say, okay, hey, we'll accept that price, but only if you let us put 20% down up front and pay the other remaining 80% once our bulk order is finished, right? Or maybe I say, okay, yeah, we'll take that unit price, but only if you'll make these 3 samples for free for us. Right? Because there's always some kind of expense that you can leverage. We'll say, or even another one, we'll take that unit price, but only if you pay for the 2 to 3 day shipping rather than the 5 to 10 day shipping, right? Because there's always something you can milk. Okay, and what they want is the unit price. So if you can like hang with their unit price, they're the one you negotiated down, right? And you can kind of like leverage some other expense to be covered by them, right? That's like the most ideal scenario, right? So let's go through the sample testing process. Okay, when you're ready to order your first sample, and you absolutely should order samples. Do not place a bulk order without ordering samples. That's beginner information, but I'm gonna go over it anyways. So here's my strategy. Okay, never go straight into production because they won't get it right off the first time, obviously. So when the sample comes in, you need to test everything. Okay, you need to hold it up. You need to make sure the weight feels there. You feel like it's a good quality garment, right? You need to kind of like look at the quality of everything, the stitching, the fabric, the sewing, like the fucking the finishing, right? Stuff like that. You need to make sure that everything is placed correctly. You need to make sure that the measurements are correct, that the pattern is correct. You need to put it on. You need to see how it feels. You need to hold it up to the light, see if the light shines through. If you're trying to get some heavyweight cotton shit, and you can see a bunch of light shining through, it's typically not going to be super high quality. Low stitch counts and such, and yeah, if it's also, you're also like, you know, for specific like detailed design applicants like embroidery, for example, you're gonna want to really look at this, all right? Because there's good embroidery and then there's really bad embroidery, and it's easy to tell the difference, all right? So just go find something that is embroidered, right? You're gonna look at that embroidery, and then you're gonna look at your embroidery, and if you're happy with this embroidery and this one isn't as good, you need to tell them like, hey, your embroidery fucking sucks, redo it. All right, so now you're gonna stress test it, okay? You're gonna, like, obviously, like I said, hold it up to a light, throw it in the wash, see if it shrinks like a shit ton. Most of your stuff, most of your high quality shit's going to shrink a little bit if it's cotton and you wash with heat. But at this point, if people wash cotton goods on heat, that's kind of their problem. But if the garment does shrink a shit ton in the wash, you know there's an issue. You know they need to take care of that issue before you get it, because otherwise your customer's going to get the product, they're going to wash it, it's not going to fit them after one wash, they're going to come to you complaining, not your manufacturer, right? And then that's on you because you sold it to them, right? You're also going to give the zippers, buttons, any hardware durability test, right? So you want to kind of like tug on it a little bit. If it's a button garment, you want to kind of tug on it, test it, stress test it a little bit, right? If it breaks off, it is what it is. At least you broke your sample and the customer didn't break the item that they purchased from you, right? Now you can specify, hey, this isn't secure enough. We need to fix this. I made this mistake a while back with Maverick Denim V1 where we sold them and then the buttons started coming off. And I was like, oh, fuck, like everybody's pissed off because the buttons are coming off. Like then for the next iteration, I had to say, hey, like our hardware is falling off. Everybody's saying the hardware is falling off. You guys need to fix that shit, all right? And if I had just stress tested it on the first sample before I'd sold it, I wouldn't have lost those customers who lost the buttons on their jeans, right? So stressed it. And then, also, like I'd also have a real world example I wrote down here. I actually ordered a canvas jacket from Pakistan. Fuck Pakistan. I love the country, right? But your suppliers, they suck. They scammed me twice. So yeah, looked great in the photos. It felt decent when it arrived. But I actually put this on, and my co-designer was like, bro, I bet if you like bend over, it'll just rip in half. And I was like, bro. And then I just bent over and the whole shoulder seam just fucking ripped off, right? And if I had not stress tested, right, and given it to the customer, that would have happened to them, and they would have came bitching to me because I sold those jackets for $150, right? So it better be a damn good jacket, right? So yeah, that's really important. Sample testing, super important. So yeah, complete manufacturing framework summary and resource delivery. All right. So we've kind of covered a lot of ground today. So I'm going to actually put together a supplier resource for you guys, kind of like just an SOP, kind of just something to kind of like give you all the steps that we covered today so that you can kind of have it in your back pocket. Once this meeting is done, I will deliver it. I'm actually not going to deliver it right now. There's a few things I need to add to that came to mind during this call. I'm actually going to be delivering that in the beginning of tomorrow's call. So here's what we covered today and why each piece matters. All right, so brand identity and foundation, recap on that. We talked about who you are as a brand, why that matters before anything else, your values, your missions, and your target customer. And that's not like the fluffy marketing stuff. That's like core shit, like the shit that you need before you get into all the marketing stuff. All right. This is going to be your blueprint. If you have no identity, you have no blueprint, you are fucking like shitting in the wind. All right. If you have no brand identity, let me repeat that. If you have no brand identity, you have no blueprint. You have no how-to. You have no reference to make your decisions. You're making decisions blindly, okay? So this is really, really important. Without brand identity, like, you're fucked. You are so fucked. I don't care if you find a winning product, it'll be your only winning product, because your next winning product will be completely different, and the people who liked your first winning product won't like your new winning product, all right? So that matters, okay? That fucking matters, all right? So design process mastery, we went through that as well. How to actually get your ideas turned into real products, the difference between concepts, tech packs, working with designers versus doing it yourself, how to iterate without ruining your budget, all right? That's all very, very important shit. We also went into manufacturing strategy, did a live demonstration on that, showed you guys exactly how to walk through Alibaba, how to ask questions, red flags to look for, how to go on and find a supplier. That's literally my method for doing it. That's what I do. Anytime I want to make a new item, that's exactly the steps that I take. Now, let's talk about day 2. Let's talk about tomorrow. We're going to talk about turning your vision, which is what we went over today, into sales, okay? Because what we covered today, it already puts you ahead of like 90% of people, all right? But, and it's because like most people skip what we covered today, and then they're fucked whenever they try to go straight to step 2 and 3, which you can't do without doing steps 1, which is what we went over today, all right? So tomorrow, day 2 is going to be about turning this vision that you've created, right, to this vision of this world and these products and these customers that you're going to sell to, selling the customers to the products, right? And like this is where like shit gets fun. Shit gets fun because we get to get creative, all right? Now, everything we went through, that's just the beginning. Like I said, all right, you can have the most dialed brand identity in the world, the cleanest designs, most reliable manufacturers, and you're still not going to make shit with your brand unless you have what we go over tomorrow, which is a good marketing and art direction strategy and good content, okay? Without good content, good marketing tactics, and a good art direction strategy, you are fucked, okay? So if you have all of this stuff, but you don't have the material covered tomorrow, again, you're fucked, okay? So all this patience that I saw from you guys today, there's still over 1,000 people in this call. I need you to come tomorrow with that same tenacity, all right? You guys know, y'all probably learned some dope shit today, all right? Tomorrow, you're going to learn even more. And then day 3, you're going to learn even more. There's a reason we divided this into 3 days and not 1, okay? So let's talk about what separates success from stagnation before we wrap up. All right, the difference isn't just about having good products. It's about knowing how to get those products in front of people who actually want to buy them. All right, creating content that makes people want to stop scrolling and start caring. Okay, art direction that makes your brand look premium even when you're working with a tight budget. All right, so art direction is your creative direction. Content is obviously like the shit that like gets people engaging with your products, and then knowing how to get those products in front of people, that's your marketing strategy. All right, so tomorrow, your roadmap to actual sales, okay? I'm gonna be showing you guys exactly how to turn everything we built today into actual sales, right? We're gonna go over the complete content strategy that creates hype around your drops, content strategy that I've used, that I've watched a ton of other people use. We're gonna go over marketing systems that turn followers into customers who buy every single time you drop. We're gonna go into art direction techniques that basically make people willing to buy your stuff and make you be able to justify really, really high price points so that you can sell your items for really expensive, so that you can make more money on each item that you make, and also make more expensive items and put more effort into the items and still justify the high price points. But here's the reality, all right? You guys could master everything we talked about today and still end up with a closet full of 300 hoodies, like we talked about earlier, like Lauren had whenever he started, all right? Because, again, without what you learn tomorrow, the marketing, the content, the art direction, none of these manufacturer negotiations, none of these sample design process, none of this identity development shit matters at all, okay? So tomorrow, very, very important, okay? So let's go over the implementation reality and the final challenge, okay? So most people who watch today will go and do absolutely nothing with this information. You will log off of this YouTube live stream. You will go and play video games, or go to the gym, or go to your girlfriend's house, and you won't think about this ever again. And you'll be like, damn, well, like, oh, that's a lot, bro. Like, I ain't doing it, all right? And then there'll be a small percentage of you that actually take action with this, right? Who took notes today, who are like, you know what? He gave me all these things to do. I'm going to go fucking do them, all right? You're going to go back to your like, and you're going to like, here, like, honestly, fuck the script. half of you guys are going to go do nothing with this. The other half of you guys are going to put this into action. All right. You're going to go and do the homework that I gave you. You're going to go and you're going to go and collect your verbal references, your image references, your character references. All right. You're going to start building your brand identity. You're going to ask yourself those 3 questions. You're going to ask your family about those 3 questions. You're going to ask your friends about those 3 questions. You're going to answer them. All right. That's what you guys need to do. All right. So in the next 24 hours, I want you to use the identity framework. All right. And I want you to answer those 3 questions. I want you to start building your reference collection, like I indicated earlier. And I want you to get on Alibaba, and I want you to start researching manufacturers using everything I just showed you guys. All right. That is your homework for the next 24 hours before we hop back on here and get into content, get into marketing, get into all the next chapter of juicy shit. This is your homework. And if you don't do this homework, I can do all this shit. I can take time out of my day to help you, but I can lead you to the water, but I can't make you drink, bro. I can't make you drink. And if you don't do any of this shit, you just fucking wasted, how much time are we on here? You just wasted 2 hours of time. All right. So do the fucking homework, come back tomorrow ready to eat, ready to take more notes, ready to do more homework, because I want to push you guys. You guys are here for a reason. There's over 1,000 of you on this call, and you're here for a reason. All right. You're here because you want to fucking learn, because you want to like create some dope shit. And if you don't do the homework, if you don't take actionable steps outside of just learning, you go nowhere. Okay. So do all that shit. All right. So now why today's foundation is critical, because tomorrow I'm showing you how to turn the foundation into actual money. I'm showing you how to turn an identity, a world, something dope into something that actually creates sales, makes sales, and like does something for you, okay? Because it's cool to make an art project, but if nobody sees it, if nobody sees the art project, and if nobody is interested in it, it's not well advertised, nobody's gonna buy it, which means you just did all that shit for nothing, all right? Which is obviously not the end result we want, all right? So again, none of that matters if today's foundation isn't locked in first. So please, 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 please take heed of what I said today, because I don't know where else you guys have heard this on the internet. If anybody else have heard a lot of this on the internet, go like spam it in the chat where you heard it, right? Because I'm like 90% sure the shit we went over today is not like, I don't know where the fuck it is. Maybe my YouTube channel, but other than my YouTube channel, I don't know where it's at, right? All right, let me take a look at this chat. Yes, see, everybody's hyped to do the homework. That's what I want to fucking hear. Good shit, guys. All right. So tomorrow, I want you to come prepared. I don't want you to be the guy who shows up today too empty-handed with no homework in hand, no nothing in hand, right? I don't want you to show up late. I want you to be the person who comes prepared, who's already taken actionable steps, who's ready to build something. All right. Because tomorrow we get to work. Okay. So I'm going to see you guys tomorrow for day 2. We're going to be covering again, content, marketing, and art direction mastery. Come ready to fucking learn. Come ready to learn and come ready to take actionable steps afterwards. All right. I'm super, super excited for that. But before we go, we're going to do a quick Q&A. I'm going to be answering a few questions for you guys. I know like there's probably going to be a fucking million of them, and I probably won't be able to answer all of them, but I will do my best to answer some of them. So now, that is all of my slides. And I will be taking a look at the chat. Fuck, there's a bunch of questions. Shit. All right. Let's see. Let us see. Gosh, sorry, the chat's moving like a million miles an hour. I didn't think this many people would show up, to be honest. It's so sick that over 1,000 of you hung with me for 2 hours. 2 hours. That shows some fucking dedication. So pat yourself on the back for hanging with us for 2 hours first. That's insane. Good shit. All right. Alrighty. So let's see. From Italy, should I look for manufacturers here even though I don't know how, or should I go to Alibaba considering I already have the experience there? Go to Alibaba. Go to Alibaba. They have Italian manufacturers there anyways. Producing domestically versus internationally is like the biggest thing you don't need to fucking worry about. Like, go and find a good product for a good price. All right? That's what you need to do. All right. Give me some good questions. Sorry, I just breathed straight into the mic. My chat's just glitching. That shit is just glitching because there's too many. Oh my god, fuck. All right, you want to go the avant-garde route. Should you stick to finding a good menu who can get it made without good marketing, or sample first? For sure, sample first. If they can't sample first, you have no hope in avant-garde. What do you do about local manufacturing? I'm from Algeria. Ordering from outside is hard. If it's difficult for you to order outside of your country, which it shouldn't be because I just showed you guys how to do that, then just go and look for somebody locally who does it, right? Do some research. Go into ChatGPT, tell them where you live, and say, hey, I want to make this item. Where can I have this made? Right? It requires this, and this process to have it made. Give me places that can do that locally here in my area. That's all you have to do. When you start a new garment, do you try with the current manufacturer, or do you go through the process you showed? Okay, so basically, if I want to start a new project, I'll first ask my current manufacturer, hey, can you do this? Right? And if they and the reason they'll typically say, yes, we can do this, but then you're going to say, all right, send me some previous work similar to that. I want to see what you've done previously. And then they'll send you your previous work. And sometimes it'll be like, oh, okay, she could low-key do that. And sometimes it won't. And if it doesn't, then you go find a new manufacturer. Alrighty, how do you deal with a manufacturer that takes too long to deliver? You have purchase protection if you use trade assurance, like I just showed you. And if you don't, then you're kind of fucked. But if you do, and you just need to spam them. But if you do have trade assurance, then you'll just threaten like, hey, I'm going to fucking like file a dispute if you don't ship me my shit, like ship me my stuff, right? Let's see. How do I know which sizes I should buy for my bulk order? You should try and source this data ahead of time. At the end of the day, if you have no data, if you have like, you can literally just look and see like, okay, look at your ICP. Is it a lot of tall people? Is it a lot of short people? Is it a lot of guys? Is it a lot of girls? If it's a lot of girls, then order a lot of smalls. If it's a lot of guys, order a lot of mediums and larges. If it's a lot of short guys, maybe you're working with a specific race that's either taller or shorter, right? Maybe go heavier into the smalls and mediums rather than the larges and XLs. If it's a lot of taller guys, maybe you're targeting athletes. Maybe you're targeting like guys who are traditionally taller, right? Then go more like larges and XLs, right? Look at the data of your ICP. Look at who you're trying to sell to and try to think like, okay, like, you know, based on that, based on the people that I've seen IRL, like what are they doing? What are they wearing more of? Is it more people wearing smalls and mediums or more people wearing larges and XLs? That would be my preferred option. And if you have made sales already, then just to look at the data from what sold through the fastest, right? What size sold out? What size did you sell them? What size did you sell the most of? You know what I'm saying? And then you can also just ask your customers, hey, what sizes do you guys want, right? If you have a current customer base, but if not, then you're going to have to guess for a little bit. Alrighty. Holy shit. This is actually insane, the amount of fucking questions that I just got in here. That's fucking wild. I want to take a video of this low key. This is kind of crazy, but I can't because there's no yeah. Yeah, it's Joey, give me your phone. I can't take a video because the chat's on my phone. Dude, this is fucking crazy. So we just wrapped up the masterclass day 1 and I'm doing a Q&A and I don't know how I'm going to answer all these questions, but I'm going to sit on here for the next probably like 20 and just find the best ones. But yeah, you guys are fucking sick. All right, I'm going to just scroll and just stop on a random one and boom. All right. What about LLCs and patents? Should we be giving an F about that, or should we just skip for the first few drops? Okay, LLC is easy as fuck to make. Go ahead and get that done. It's easy. It'll probably cost you like $100, $200, something like that. Every purchase that you make under that LLC will be tax deductible. So every sample that you buy, every website domain that you purchase, every ad that you pay for, anything, any photographer that you pay, any bulk order that you pay, if you purchase it under that LLC, it will be tax deductible. deductible, right? So if you make 10K, right? Let's say you make $10,000, right? You will only have to pay on the total minus the amount that you spent under that LLC on expenses. So if you made 10K, but you spent 5K under that LLC on business expenses, you're only paying taxes on $5,000, right? That's just like fucking LLC business owner 101 shit, right? But yeah, do it sooner rather than later. You can do it literally. I can go and have a fucking LLC made like in like 5 minutes on here. It's super online. Just go type in, I want to make an LLC. I live in this state, and it'll be super, super easy. There's a fuck ton of websites to do it. All right, we're going to select another random one. Holy shit. Dude, there's like probably a thousand questions in here. All right, let's see. I had a brand for the last 4 years, and I've done a lot of what you spoke about. Actually, besides using Alibaba, I just made everything myself, but I've been struggling to take off. Why can that be? Okay, so basically you have a friction point that we need to hunt down, identify, and remove. Okay, if you are doing everything right, you will have results. Okay, but if you don't have results, then you missed a step. And if you missed a step, then you need to go through, and this is kind of like what I've created for a lot of the guys that I work with. It's like a curriculum where it's basically just like we have like an entire syllabus, and it's like a 30 to 40 step syllabus that like if you do everything, you're literally like pretty much guaranteed a result, but more than likely you just missed a step, right? So go watch like one of my YouTube videos, like more in-depth YouTube videos, go through and figure out, okay, what step did I miss, right? Or what step did I kind of skimp on? And you need to figure out which step you skimped on, or which step you missed, or which step you glazed over. And then you need to do that step and then see like, okay, what was the difference? All right, what's the difference now, right? Because if it's not working, then you're doing something wrong. Either your marketing's wrong, your content sucks, your product sucks, your distribution sucks, maybe your customer support sucks, maybe your website sucks, maybe there's friction on your domain, right? Maybe your Instagram sucks, maybe you're not posting on the right platforms. There could be a million things you're doing wrong. So just go through all the things that you need to do. Go and watch all my YouTube videos, figure out what all the little things, and then figure out what you're missing. All right, we'll just scroll on a random one. Boom. All right, during Q4 when you're a young brand still growing, where each dollar counts, should you stay 1 to 2 clothing pieces without discounts, or should it doesn't show the back half of the question. Oh, wait. Or should very young brands also try to capitalize on the Q4? Okay, so in the beginning, you are not going to have any data on what product is going to work or not, all right? So a lot of the time, my approach is when you have the ability to make a bunch of different products, make the bunch of different products, right? But initially, if you don't have the ability to do that, right, whether you don't have the funds to design or the funds to put into pre-production, right, what I would encourage you to do is focus on 1 to 2 products and make those products bangers, all right? If you don't make those products bangers, you're going to get a bunch of you're going to make a bunch of dog shit products, all right? You need to take time and make something really, really good, all right? I'd rather shoot 1 arrow to the heart than 10 arrows to limbs, okay? I want to shoot to kill. You know what I'm saying? So you need to make an item with intent to make that item fucking amazing, right? Rather than just making a bunch of bullshit tries that took you no effort and then getting nowhere, right? But if you have a really, really good design team, you have funds to put into pre-production, you have the ability to make a lot of really great items, then do it. But most of the time you guys aren't, so I wouldn't encourage it. All right, let's try and find another question. This is so sick. It's so cool to be like able to help just so many people. All right. If most of my designs are garments with the name of my brand, should I focus more on marketing with micro influencers that support my niche, or market with videos in my niche? Okay, so let me reread that because that was kind of confusing. If most of my designs are garments with the name of my brand, should I focus more on marketing with micro influencers that support my niche, or market with videos in my niche? I don't understand. You're saying, should I make videos or should I micro-influence? Do both. Do both. Why does it have to be either or? Right? Do both. Use micro-influencers and also make your own videos. Why not? All right. We'll just find another one. Boom. All right. How many different products should you start with on your first drop? How often do you rotate drops, designs? I'd say like 1 to 3. Don't go any more than 3. Let's find another one. All right. let's see. Do you think I can make a brand only with sewing limited pieces myself? Absolutely. My good friend, Thanks Bill on Instagram, he did that, and he does really well. All right, with the if most of my designs are garments with the name of my what the fuck, I just read that. My shit is glitching, bro. I'll just take the most recent one. Should I start print on print on demand as someone who is about to start, or should I wait until I have that money to do it from home? Because ideally that is my goal. Honestly, bro, like, get the money. How else are you going to get the money? You're either going to go and get a job, right, and wait to take action on making clothing until you actually have a bunch of money saved up, or you can go the print on demand route, make subpar-ish clothing, right, until you have enough money. So in my opinion, like, if your options are go with print on demand or go work a job and take zero action towards your clothing brand until you have enough money to start taking action, why the fuck would you not just go with print on demand, right? Start getting your reps in, learning how to market clothes, refine your brand identity, right? Start dropping products, get experience, and then when you have enough money, then you can go the cut and sew route, right? Print on demand essentially gives you the opportunity to start a clothing brand with like not much money, right? And yeah, you're not going to have as much leverage in terms of production value as maybe the people who do have money, but that's the whole fucking point, all right? If I don't have $1 million and I want to buy a car, I can't go buy a Lamborghini. So instead, I buy a cheaper car. And the cheaper car is not as good as a Lamborghini, but at least I have the cheaper car to get me from point A to point B, all right? You guys don't need to be making $150 price per unit jackets your first item, all right? Because you guys suck at making clothing anyways. Your first iteration is going to suck. I'm good at making clothing now, but like years and years ago, I sucked too. Whenever I started, I was terrible at making clothing. I didn't know fabrics. I didn't know like the process of making a garment. I didn't know pattern making. I didn't know fucking design applicant. I didn't know like how to source shit. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know shit. So like, start small. Hopefully that made some sense. I know I kind of went off there. All right, what are the 3 ways or metrics to predict the quantity of a drop possible? I do content and have a wait list full of 500 people, and I did 2 drops now. For the last drop was 80 pieces. Okay, so if you did 2 drops before, you sold all 80 pieces. My opinion is that if you sell out, right, monitor the time and the cost that it took to sell out, and then increase by 20%. All right, unless you're identifying a massive, massive demand gap. Right? If you have 50 pieces, but you had 10,000 website visits and 8,000 of those were after you sold out, then you can probably double that, right? But a lot of you guys aren't in that boat. All right? A lot of you guys are just barely selling out. Okay? So if you're just barely selling out, then you need to go back. You need to play it safe, increase by 20%, push yourself by 20%. All right? That would be my word of advice. All right, let's find another one. Okay, you said you plan your drops 3 months in advance. How can I start planning my next drop proactively for Q4 and the ones in the future? How can I structure a plan to follow for my drops? Okay, so the steps that I indicated in this whole process, right, that is going to be your steps that you go through, all right? So identity development, right, reference collection, design development, pre-production, bulk production, all right? So you need those 5 steps, okay? So you're going to go through those 5 steps, and basically you're just going to hustle, all right? You're not going to fucking waste time. You're going to start building your reference lists. You're going to start pulling together your brand identity, the target, the customer that you want to target, all the good shit, you know what I'm saying? And then you're going to figure out, okay, I'm going to make these clothes for these people, and these people are going to buy these clothes because I offer this, right? And then you're going to start making clothes that fit into that world, right? From your reference list. Right? And the way you make clothes is just by getting a designer or designing them yourself, getting a call sheet made, your design made, whatever, sending manufacturer inquiries, getting a sample made, revising the sample, getting your bulk order, selling the product, right? And selling the product is what we'll go over tomorrow, right? But what we did today is what you need to do. And you need to do that at an accelerated pace, at the fastest pace that you can, right? Typically, to have, for my timeline, according to my curriculum, which is not public because that's under IP, but my curriculum states that if you do X steps, right, it's like 35, 40 steps, right? And if you do all of those steps according to our standards, our Urban Unity standards, then you will have a successful drop in 3 months, All right. This can be accelerated. You could probably do this a little bit faster, but you need to fucking hustle. All right. Now, my goal is to give you guys the blueprint to fucking hustle. All right. And if you do that, you can capitalize on the rest of this year. But you guys need to fucking hustle. All right. There's a reason I'm doing this now, and I'm not doing this in 2 months after the opportunity's gone. All right. So let us see. Alrighty. How can we work with you? All right. So basically, if you're still here, I'm going to be opening a super limited amount of spots to work directly with us, right? But we're not doing that today. We're going to wait. I want you guys to learn first. We got a lot of material to cover. I don't want you guys jumping straight into working with us, into like getting in our program yet. We've got work to do. I've got stuff to teach you guys. That's what this whole 3-day mastermind is for. All right. So let's focus on learning for now. All right. We're going to find the best price list as a guide to try and get a plus minus of what specific apparel should technically cost. I'm actually going to make this for you. Yeah, I'm going to make that for you. And I'm going to deliver it tomorrow. Tomorrow at the beginning of class, I guess I should say. That's cool. Beginning of class. I'm actually going to make that tonight because that's actually a really good resource. And I think that would not take me super long to make. So I'm going to make that for you guys for free. Let's see. Let's go back to the bottom of my chat. Let's see. How much capital should I start with if I want to create a luxury brand? Okay, this is going to be a subjective question. A lot of people will tell you that you need tons and tons of money, right? Because there's this cost and this expense and this expense and this expense, right? But those guys are fucking idiots, all right? Because they're comparing their year 3 expenses to your year 1 expenses. And you are not going to have year 3 expenses if you are in year 1. All right. So don't listen to the retards who say, oh, well, look, you're going to have $10,000 in expenses when you start your brand. Maybe at year 3, it's going to cost you a collective $3,000 or $10,000 over 3 years to get to the year 3 point. But when you're starting, you do not need $10,000 to start. All right. You need some money for a sample. You need some money to fucking get your LLC, right? For your Shopify. That's a few $100. That's $500. All right. And yeah, you're going to fuck up. You're going to make some mistakes. All right. But that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing this for, so that I can help you guys to not make mistakes and lose money. All right. All right. Let's see. I'm going to answer one more. I've got some work to do tonight. I've got a lot of work to do tonight. If I want to add some stuff to the resource and have that for you guys tomorrow. All right. Is the reference list, verbal imagery, etc., needed in each drop, or you just need it as you're starting your brand? So I do a reference list for the brand as a whole, and then I do creative briefs for each drop, right? So I collect reference points for each drop if I'm going to be doing different items with a different narrative, all right? So, but essentially, you want like a master deck of reference points that kind of define the brand's identity and creative direction. So hopefully that answers your question. But that is all the questions I will be answering today. Thank you guys so much for attending. Tomorrow, day 2, 2 p.m., going to be probably, this is the shit I like talking about, is what we're talking about tomorrow, because that's the shit I'm really good at. That's the shit where I have a lot of like industry authority, just because I know shit that a lot of other people don't. And yeah, I'm really, really excited to share it. Really, really excited to tap you guys in, put you guys on, and get you guys on some fucking art direction sauce. So yeah, thank you guys so much for joining. It's an honor to be the bearer of this information. I feel like I'm doing something that really nobody else has done before, and that makes me happy. It makes me fulfilled to be able to help people in a way that nobody else is doing, and that's fucking awesome. So thank you guys for supporting. Thank you guys for showing up, ready to learn, ready to work. I hope to see a bunch of homework done tomorrow, and I hope to see every single one of you guys here tomorrow to learn as well. So thank you guys so much for attending, and I will be checking